wait is over. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails is now open. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel. Open 7 days a week starting at 11 a.m. daily. Freshly made Southern cuisine with signature cocktails and lunch specials daily. The location for your next event with Simply Sonia's catering specials. Open now. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel in Winston-Salem.
Father Time is undefeated. It's going to hit Tom Brady eventually, too. It might be this year. Hopefully it's this year.
And Matt LaFleur went to both of them and said, hey, remember that play you drew up on notebook paper on Thursday? Yeah, run it now.
Like, that's the thing that's kind of tripping me up here. We've been clowning Kyrie Irving and his behavior for the past 5 years. I feel like I just got a point, like on a show or something.
3, 2, 1, Kernersville, you've got state champions coming back home. The East Forsyth Eagles have just won Class 4A state championship.
On the line with NASCAR superstar Bubba Wallace. Bubba, what type of music are you listening to right now? Do you listen to anything particular to get you hyped before a race?
I'm in like the heavy metal stuff, like the screamo stuff, stuff you can't understand. That's right up my alley.
Tie game at 41. Murr takes the snap. Fade. Right corner of the end zone for Timmons. He bobbled it and then honed it in the right corner of the end zone. Terrell Timmons Jr.
TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, your home for Triad Sports.
Kim Source Direct is a single source supplier. In business since 2007, they have over 80,000 products for customers just like you. Located in the heart of North Carolina, they supply cleaning products all throughout the Southeast. Whether you're a commercial business, office, or municipal building, looking for wholesale cleaning products, chemicals, cleaning equipment, or service, they've got you covered. Please reach out and start saving money today. Stop by their store open to the public and save. Kim Source Direct, 1207 South Park Drive in Kernersville. Give them a call at 336-515-9990. Order from the website at kimsourcedirect.com. Blue Naples Pizzeria in Kernersville is now hiring. Come work for one of the best Italian restaurants in the Triad. Currently hiring dishwashers, cooks, front cashiers, and more. Great hours, great pay. Give them a call at 336-993-7707 or stop by and inquire at 1519 Union Cross Road in Kernersville. Start working this week. Blue Naples Pizza.
You deserve to get good service and great rates. At State Farm, we get it. And we're here to help because with every State Farm policy, you get good neighbor service and you get surprisingly great rates. So what are you waiting for? Get going and talk to a local State Farm agent about your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
When you want the real deal, call State Farm agent Susanna Nunn in Kernersville today.
This is Coach Rez, head coach of your Carolina Cobras arena football team. You're listening to TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com, your home for Triad Sports.
And you know this, man.
Like to have everybody's attention for a moment.
There's a stat. I don't like bringing up stats, but there's one stat about the Panthers.
He's in the world is James Harden better scorer than Michael Jordan?
No, he's more creative in that.
Traveling is not creative, Brandon.
You know, no matter what the score is, and they've said it themselves, whether they're up 10, down 20, whatever, they know they can turn it on whenever.
Why did you have to bring up the Cowboys in this conversation?
Lived in Texas for 2 years and just could not stand to watch Cowboys football.
All right, listen up.
Welcome to The Rundown. Here's Desmond Johnson.
And happy Saturday morning to everybody in the Triad. You're listening to us on WWBG 1470 AM. If you're watching us on Facebook, watch YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, the whole thing. Welcome. You are locked and loaded for 2 hours of The Rundown with me, Desmond Johnson. Hour 1, Jalen Gilkey from WFNY News 2, Brandon Blakeney, Brandon Lee TV, live and direct from North Dakota every Saturday with you. We got a whole loaded show today. Too much stuff going on for a March Saturday right before spring starts. We're going to get into all of it. Of course, the whole Deshaun Watson situation. How did the Panthers get in it? How did they become the front runners? How did they lose them? How did the Browns end up with him when they were put out earlier in the week? We'll talk about that and the ramifications of this contract that he signed. $230 million fully guaranteed. My man got close to $250 million guaranteed playing football, and he still got cases. So we're going to talk about all of that. Of course, it's NCAA tournament weekend. The first round is done. We'll talk about some of the biggest surprises that we've seen so far. the most vulnerable 1 seeds that are left going forward here as we make a march to the Sweet 16 for next week. Isaac Schade from the Locked on Tar Heels podcast will join me. We'll talk UNC versus Baylor. Baylor may have some weaknesses. They're missing their starting center. They're leading scorers out today. So, of course, that means that Carolina's probably going to show up and only score 45 points. So we'll find out what the Tar Heels may or may not do this Saturday as they try to get to a Sweet 16 in Hubert Davis's first year as head coach. And, of course, NFL's 365 days a year. Free agency's going on right now. Deshaun Watson wasn't the only big free agent signing this week. Devontae Adams grabbed an extremely large bag as well. He's heading west. I wonder how Aaron Rodgers feels about all this after everything that just happened the past year. So we'll get into all of that on the rundown here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. But first, gentlemen, what's going on here? The Hour One crew, Jalen Gilkey, Brandon Blakeney in the house. What's going on, guys?
Man, hanging in there, blessed. I've been helping out with the NABJ short course all week at A&T. So I just been, dealing with a lot of young journalists, just giving back, man. Raising up the next batch.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
That's what's up, man. That's what it's about.
Yeah, for real. Hey, shout out to A&T. I saw they had like a walk-off home run or something over at the War. I think it was last night. So
yeah, them boys hot, man. They've been playing really well.
We're doing a little bit of the A&T baseball broadcast. We do some of their home games on Tobacco Road. I think we got one with them late next week. Also home for East Forsyth baseball. If you haven't seen this kid, Xavier Isaac over at East Forsyth, this dude is launching pills just like out into the forest. Like he's already signed to Florida. He's a senior. And like literally every time he comes up the bat, I stand up from the production booth and just like watch out the window to see what he's going to do. And like pitchers are like, they're scared of this kid. So
they're definitely terrified.
Yeah, East beat Davie last night like 13-5 or something like that. They're turning into a little problem. And then the softball team, my goodness, Kirsten Deal, the pitcher over at East Forsyth, #1 rated player in softball in the country, right here underneath our noses in the Triad.
And they couldn't keep her at home. They couldn't keep her at the crib.
Keep her home. She's already signed Oklahoma. Yep, going to Oklahoma.
When you're the #1 player in the country, you go to Oklahoma. That's what you
pretty
do.
much. Yeah,
they're in the College World Series. They're in the College World Series every year, bro.
The softball team beat, I think it was Davie like 11-0 or something the other night. Like they went to the state championship game last spring, got a pretty good shot to go back this year. So we're following all of them. So live sports here on Tobacco Road, and some more to announce here in the upcoming weeks regarding baseball. So I know it'll make all the baseball fans out there real happy to know that we got you covered this summer. Let's get into it here with Deshaun Watson. Let's just get to the nuts and bolts of what happened here, because I you know me, I'm on social media. I follow Panther groups, just kind of get a vibe of what's going on. And the Panther fan base was divided directly down the middle. There was like 50% of them were like, yes, go get him. He's a top 5 quarterback. That's all we really need to kind of get over the hump. The other half was like, no, we don't want to mortgage the future for somebody like Deshaun Watson. So when it came out that the Panthers were no longer in the running, we didn't have the full story of what exactly was going on, because then all that sentiment changed to, oh, David Tepper, he talks a big game, but when it comes down to it, he won't commit to, the big bucks or something like that. This is what happened. So this is the timeline of basically what's going on, what we pieced together from all the different beat writers that have been following this. It was the Panthers, the Saints, and the Falcons. For starters, the Falcons weren't even in this. Deshaun Watson called them to gauge their interest, and they got into it because he called them, because that's his hometown. He was a ball boy for the Falcons as a kid. So he's close to the Blank family. So the Falcons got into it. Panthers have been following for over a year. Somehow the Saints, who were like $75 million over the cap like a week ago, somehow they got involved in it. And from what it sounds like, the Browns were in it for a bit and then were told no. From my understanding, on early Thursday, Watson's camp contacted Carolina to see if they would fully guarantee years 3 and 4 of the extension he's going to get. Carolina declined. From my understanding, from the way it looks, they went back then and the Browns found out what they had offered the Panthers, and said, even though they had already been kicked out, they were like, we'll do that for you. So instead of just immediately going to the Browns, he then goes to the Saints and the Falcons with the same thing. Like, will you give me fully guaranteed all 4 years? And both of them declined. So that leaves the Browns, the one team that they had already told, no, we ain't doing that, because he said he didn't want to play in the cold. Then 3 days later, he changes his mind. He's in Cleveland with $230 million.
Yeah, them dollars will keep you warm.
Boy,
you buy a lot of coats with that.
Because I was like, in the AFC, he's had to have been to Cleveland before. I have to believe he's been to Cleveland. So he understands what Cleveland is, like what it looks like, everything about it, to willingly go there. I have relatives there, so I'm allowed to make jokes about it. But I always tell people, you don't go to Cleveland unless you know somebody in Cleveland. Like if you're going to visit somebody in Cleveland or you have family in Cleveland, you don't make a trip to Cleveland to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or to just be in Cleveland. Like it's not really that kind of city. So for him to take this deal, what is it, a 4-year extension? Before we even get to the, no, 5-year. It's 5-year, fully guaranteed, $230 million contract from the Browns. As part of the deal, he's going to get $45 million sign-in bonus, and his base salary for this year will be $1 million. The Texans will get, my Lord, they get 3 first-round draft picks this year, next year, in 2024, a 2023 third-rounder, a 2024 fourth-rounder. Now, I have seen and have on good authority, Skylar Callahan will be on the show in hour 2. The Panthers were offering 3 first-rounders, 2 third-rounders, Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin. So the Texans wanted that deal because that was the sweetest deal out of all the ones they had offered. And Deshaun had waived his no-trade clause to Carolina. That's how they met in the first place. But
Des, man, you're torturing yourself. I don't understand why you're doing this.
What do you mean?
You're torturing yourself, brother. It's over. Just let it go. It's fine.
No, it's not. I'm fine with it. I was past it 2 days ago. Like literally before he made his decision, I was like, I don't even care. Like at this point, because it's
this point, huh, it's just what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like I'm not cool going into the season with Sam Darnold. I'll tell you that right now. Like that's not gonna pass. That's not gonna work.
Same head coach, same quarterback, same result.
I'll be fine with Gardner Minshew. Like, go get him. Or
he said we'll try anything. We'll try anything.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm down for whatever. Like,
we hype for Gardner Minshew. That's where it's at right now.
Sam Darnold beat us down, man. Like he beat down our spirit. Like we'll take whoever right now. Who's the what's the backup's name to Lamar Jackson in Baltimore?
Can't have him, Tyler Huntley.
Yeah, I like that kid.
Yeah, well, you go have to send us Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin for him.
Nah, I don't like him like that.
Brother.
Go get Jordan Love.
I think we got the no.
Hey, I think you rather. Come on now.
The Packers gonna want a first round for him. He ain't played but like 5 minutes of a game. It feels like.
Hey, well, they need to make Darnold play 3 minutes next season. There ain't no way.
So I mean, so that's how we got here. The Browns grade this because that trade is the biggest trade since the Dallas Cowboy Herschel Walker trade that basically set up the Dallas dynasty of the 90s. What do you guys think of this trade?
Well,
who came out ahead here?
It's like the Ricky Williams trade when
that was a stupid trade.
The
Saints traded their whole draft board, like the whole year, 1st through 7th picks and then a couple the following year, I believe, too, for Ricky Williams. That was insane. The Dallas deal was cool. If you've ever watched The Great Wall of Dallas, it's one of those NFL films. They explained that deal and why it was so good because he got a couple of first rounders at the top of it, but Jimmy Johnson, I don't even know if you can do this anymore. It might be illegal. He did it where there were players attached to the deal, like 3 or 4 players. And in the deal was written, if he didn't keep those players and he cut them, those players turned into first-round picks. So, like, he already knew, like, as they were coming over, he's like, I'm not keeping that guy. I'm not keeping that guy. I'm not keeping that guy. So he already knew that the deal was not going to be just 3 first-rounders. It was going to be like 5 or 6 first-rounders. And then they traded from that. And that's how you get that defense that they had built in the 90s and to have the collateral to go get Emmitt Smith and Alvin Harper and all those dudes. The Texans just pulled that off. I don't know if they can do the rest of it, but who won this here, the Texans or the Browns? Because the Browns get their franchise quarterback and the Texans, they get a whole lot of draft, probably more than they expected to get for a guy that still has 22 civil cases for sexual assault that have not been resolved. Yeah, we don't even know when he's going to be available.
He won't be suspended for those, though.
You don't know. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger got suspended for his little thing. Well, it was originally 6. He ended up serving 4. So, I mean, kind of the same type of situation, right?
I don't know, man. I thought Big Ben was going to jail for real.
I did, too. I would be honest. I didn't think there was any point that Deshaun Watson was going to go to jail.
I
thought there was a chance Big Ben was going to be in the clanker.
But somehow he didn't. No criminal charges.
They just came off the Super Bowl. That's why. And they just everything, went by the wayside up here. Yeah, I thought Big Ben was going down. But I would say this: the Cleveland Browns, they did a lot for their franchise with this move. I know it was, they leveraged a lot and they've sacrificed a lot. But you got to think, this: how long have they been non-relevant?
Yeah, they've never really had a franchise quarterback. I mean, I was trying to think who would be
when Hugh Jackson came. Right, they win. That they've never had a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think they. Yeah,
Baker Mayfield.
Jackson, that's the closest, probably.
Yes, I
when
mean,
Hugh Jackson came, they lost all them games. Then they start, climbing. Right, they climb. They get Baker. They get close. They win a playoff game, but then it just turned into so much other stuff with the quarterback, and everybody thought it was everybody else until the team starting to realize there's one common denominator in everything that's going on here.
The dude in all the commercials.
Yeah, living at the stadium.
It was unbelievable because it's like I don't understand why he's so hypersensitive.
Yeah, I was on Baker Mayfield for like a day. Like, notice I didn't mention Baker Mayfield when it came to, who should we bring in? I was on Baker Mayfield on Thursday, and then
remember, I think I
slept on it.
Was that last week or was that the week before? We was like, well, you never know, it might be Baker.
Yeah,
we first started talking about it last week because I was like, it's a possibility because he's not happy. They never extended him for the 5th year, so clearly he's not in their future plans, and he realized it and was like, yo, this is my goodbye to Cleveland. Peace out.
I mean, it's like, bro, this is a business, man. It's professional sports. This happens to everybody all the time, and I get it. Like, I guess he wanted to get out ahead of it, but it just looked hypersensitive because it's like,
well, it was messed up because Cleveland was like, nah, we ain't going to trade you. Like that was the weird part. He was like, I'm requesting a trade. And then Cleveland was like, nah, we got you in our future plans. And then 12 hours later, they gave Deshaun Watson $230 million.
That's how the game go, man.
That's how it goes down.
That's how the game go. And I get it. Everybody, most professional athletes by the end of their careers are scoring, right?
Yeah.
By their score. But I think he's there already. Like, he's there already.
He's only realized he was a side chick, man.
They kind of did. They really did.
He didn't realize he was the side chick. He didn't realize
he ain't built for that.
Y'all pick me number one.
I know, I'm a Heisman Trophy winner.
Y'all pick me number one.
So where does he go? Because I was actually surprised that
Carolina, baby. He's on the way. He's on the way to Charlotte.
He should go to Carolina.
Carolina already said they're not kicking the tires on Baker Mayfield. So I have no idea what Carolina's plan is for quarterback at this point. I have no clue. I don't know what they're going to do.
They about to bring Cam Newton back for another go.
They might. I think I saw Cam visited with Indy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, honestly, what they've done in free agency, the holes that they have kind of plugged in, they fixed the offensive line over the past 2 days. Like, they've really added some dudes. They added a dude from Baltimore. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. They added Austin Corbett, who started all
Bradley Bozeman.
Bradley Bozeman. They added Bradley Bozeman. What am I getting with him? Is he a good lineman?
So he's like a utility guy. We never really had him. He never really was a starter for us until somebody got hurt, but he could play both guards.
Spots.
He played tackle a little bit. He could play center. Like, he's very flexible. I mean, we had a lot of offensive line injuries last year. I think we lost 3 offensive starters in the first 3 weeks. So we had guys going all across the board, and he was able to plug in it and, be serviceable at pretty much every position on the line. So.
Oh, okay. So I like that. And then they got Austin Corbett, who's starting guard for the Super Bowl champion Rams. He started all 17 games last year.
Right?
Yeah. So that's good. You put him on the right side with Taylor Moton. That right side is right. So they're good to go. And then they had Brady Christensen be drafted.
So your best bet is to put Bozeman probably at their left guard spot.
I think, they might stick him there, or they might the left tackle still up at 6 because they got the 6th overall pick.
I'll say 6. You want to put a pick on that because he's not going to be your cornerstone.
Nah, I don't want. I'm worried. I'm more worried that they may stretch and get Kenny Pickett or something at number 6, and I feel like there's no quarterback in this.
But they say he's got such tiny hands.
His hands are baby hands. They're horribly small.
No. Malik Willis is the only quarterback I will be looking at that pick.
See,
I don't even think you want to do that.
I wouldn't mind trading down, getting Malik and bringing Cam back to be his backup. But I don't think Cam is about that action. He sounded like he don't want to play someplace where it sounded like his end of the year
Man,
press
Cam
conference
better
where
get
he was like,
where
I'm
he
not
fit
coming
in.
back here. He ain't coming back.
He better
ain't coming
get
back.
in where he fit in, man.
It's like I mean, when you got your man Matt Rule blaming him for everything, and oh my God,
You think
I'm surprised he was back.
The players didn't. You think the players didn't notice that? The ones that were there with Cam before
I
this
absolutely
regime,
think they did.
You know,
Robbie Anderson and them guys, I absolutely
they
think
saw
they
it.
did.
And Cam kind of said it in his last presser where he was like, some dudes hadn't completely bought into the culture that they were doing there. He kind of said it in a way where it was like, yeah, some of these guys don't really like the coaches.
Well, when your head coach out there talking about, well, you know, it took Jay-Z 7 years.
yeah, what?
Like, bro, what? Don't ever put your name with Hov, my boy.
Matt Rule, he just says the silliest stuff as a head coach.
It took Jay-Z, you know, 7 years to what he says,
build agency,
to get his agency together. I said, brother, you couldn't even. It's a record label, you idiot. Like, what are you talking about?
He says things that make you cringe, or like we were joking on the Believe in Panther podcast. You can always tell when Matt Rule is like about to lie or about to stretch the truth because he starts talking real fast. like he's got the words like on a teleprompter in his head, and they just start spilling out. They just start spilling out, and he can't control it. And like you go back and listen to it, and you're like, what did he just say? Did he just?
Or then you see him talking about a play that happened on the film, and then you go back and watch the film, and that ain't what happened.
And he'll come back like 2 days later and be like, yeah, well, I actually watched the film and I was wrong. That's not what happened. And this like it was every week. It's like, bro, you are the head coach. Like, stop trying to be everything else and just coach. It's clear David Tepper's not firing you anytime soon. He signed you to a 7-year deal, and everyone's like, oh, he's on the hot seat this year. Is he? Because we haven't heard anything of the sort from David Tepper that he's on the hot seat.
I think David Tepper just make moves. He don't really make noise. I feel like that's the type of business he does. So if you're gonna get fired by David Tepper, it'll be 1 day notice. You will be fired by David Tepper.
Be like, yeah, it ain't gonna be this whole big thing on the news for a week. Is he? Won't he? Will he? Nah, it's just gonna be David Tepper just shows up with like
a new coach. All right, we're gonna get you out of here.
Go on, get up out of here. Your services are no longer required.
But fellas, I'm gonna be honest, man. As a Ravens fan, I'm a little uncomfortable.
Y'all got losing some pieces, right? Y'all losing some pieces.
Losing pieces, but it's an arms race out there now. This AFC is getting insane.
Yeah,
Deshaun coming to the division.
Not just the AFC North and the AFC West have maybe become the two toughest divisions in football overnight with some of these moves. And speaking of which, I didn't even got to Devontae Adams. The Devontae Adams deal that happened to start it off this week.
Khalil Mack
came over to the Chargers. I mean, it's getting kind of wild. It's getting kind of wild over there.
It's big of a signing, but also, you know, the Chiefs just got a new weapon with
Juju Smith. Everybody's loading up, man.
Yeah. Who do you think is the best team in the AFC West now with all the stuff that's happened? The Adams deal, basically it's a 3-year deal for like $67 million. But they gave up a first and a second to get him. And the Packers reportedly tried to match the offer, but Devontae was like, nah, I've been trying to get out of here. So
I mean, I think that's nuts for Derek Carr because he didn't really have a true number one option this year.
Now
so
he's got the number one option.
They were college buddies. They're college buddies too. He wanted to go back and play with his college coach or college QB.
That move is just insane. That's major to me, man. Like
that's a needle mover, bro.
Yeah,
that's a needle mover.
Having said all that, aren't any of these teams better than Kansas City?
I mean,
you know,
if the Chargers can't win, man, it's their own fault because all the talent is there.
The Chargers should have the best defense in this although I'm not going to sleep on the Broncos. The Broncos have a pretty good defense too. And they
might need to make a move for
we didn't even talk about including the Bills AFC.
Say what now?
We didn't even include the Bills in the AFC because they got Von Miller too. So it's getting crazy.
Yeah, I don't even understand how Von Miller got to Buffalo. Like I thought he was gonna go back to Denver.
They was paying. They say they back that Brinks truck up.
And Buffalo trying to go for it all right now. Like, I respect that. That's you got to do it. The AFC is loaded, so I kind of understand. And you look over in the NFC, and you're like, okay, you kind of got Green Bay, but they just lost Devontae Adams, so you don't really know exactly what they're going to be.
They're going to be catching the ball.
Tampa gets the GOAT back, Tom Brady, but like they had a bunch of free agents anyway, so I don't know. It's not going to be the same team that's been there the past 2 years.
They did bring Godwin back, but other than that, it's still and Ndamukong Suh's still a free agent.
Leonard Fournette. They got a couple dudes. Yeah, there's a couple dudes that they need to fit. Gronk. So Gronk, I think he said he may come back now.
Yeah, you know that. You know he coming back.
Where you gonna go, Gronk?
Don't worry. As long as Tom out there, he has no excuse to not play as long as Tom's playing.
Pretty much. So, I mean, the NFC South's a mess. Sean Payton retired.
I was say,
Panthers ain't got a quarterback.
Winston coming off an injury.
I don't even know what the Falcons are doing. Like the Falcons now, they got to patch up this whole thing with Matt Ryan because he just sat there for a week and watched them get wooed by Deshaun Watson, and then they didn't even get him. And now they got to sit here because, from my understanding, they were going to trade him to the Colts. If Watson came to Atlanta, they already had a deal in place to send him to Indy. And when that didn't happen, now they're kind of sitting there like awkward. Well, like, guess we'll go into the season riding behind you, buddy. Like
it is. That's just how it goes. Like,
and he don't have no Calvin Ridley this year, which is crazy.
Yeah, right. But you see how Matt Ryan is handling it, right?
Yeah.
Like a professional. You don't hear nothing from Matt Ryan about, oh my God, I'm on the trading block. They bringing in a new quarterback. Deshaun Watson's a top 5 quarterback in the league. It's not a question. It's not a question. Like,
I mean, dude almost threw 5,000 yards last year. He played. He was like 4,800 yards. On a 4-12
if your team
team
is inquiring about Deshaun Watson, there's only maybe 4 teams that shouldn't be calling.
If you ain't Lamar, Josh Allen, Lamar
Patrick
Jackson, Patrick Mahomes,
and Herbert.
Justin Herbert, probably. Yeah, if you ain't one of them, your team probably making that call.
Yep. Or the GOAT himself, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Like if Tom Brady hadn't unretired, you know Tampa would have been in on Deshaun.
They had a one out there with just Deshaun Watson on the roster.
Yeah.
I trade all 53 of my players for you.
I definitely think the Browns won this trade, man. Like, I understand the value of draft picks and all this, but like, you've been building the draft for the last decade, man. It's time to try something new.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's still the Browns. So, like, even if they got this right,
that is my only hope.
It's still the
my
Browns.
ray of optimism. That's my only.
Still the Browns.
That's my saving grace right now.
I mean, look at the roster last year. The roster last year
was better,
went way further than what they ended up doing.
Right.
They got a talented roster, but it's
team was loaded.
The Browns. They're still in Cleveland. It's the Browns.
I mean, but we thought the same thing about the Bengals, and we didn't even bring them up either. The young guns. But
I don't even know how they got to the Super Bowl. To be honest, like they had no business. Remember what I was saying? I'm afraid he's going to be damn Steelers.
Yeah,
he's going to get there one time, and they never going to get back. And it's year 2, and it looks like. I mean, are you thinking the Bengals?
It's getting worse.
Like the Bengals right now are like 5th, 6th, 7th on my list of teams in the AFC that can get out of there. I mean,
they got to make some moves too and have a really, really good draft.
I saw La'el Collins. La'el Collins visited with them earlier in the week.
They got to get Joe a left tackle.
What is up with the Cowboys? Shout out to Rod Funderburk. We saw that he had his final procedure earlier or beginning of this week. Doing well. He's on the mend. Yeah, man. So hopefully Rod will be back with us here soon because I need some of that Cowboy love hate that he's got going on with his team. Because they're just cutting players. Like they're just getting rid of players. Amari Cooper.
I didn't understand Amari Cooper.
Oh Lord, what's happened? What happened?
We got breaking right now. According to Ian Rappaport. Look at this! Look at this!
I don't know.
The Panthers have agreed to terms with a drum roll, please. Cornerback Dante Jackson, who gets a 3-year deal.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They bring back DJ. Okay.
Scott Fitter out here doing God's work. That's crazy. I love it. Yeah, because I didn't think he was coming back. I didn't think Gilmore's still out there too.
Either.
Oh no. So now, and they picked up Xavier Woods from Minnesota to play safety.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeremy Chin. You got
I love
Dante
Jackson.
Jackson.
Scott Fitter got a lot of respect from me.
Yeah,
got a lot of respect from me. Because was that
they're gonna have everybody but somebody to throw the ball.
Let's go. Yeah, they ain't gonna have nobody throw the ball.
2 drafts ago they went all defense, or was that last draft?
That was 2020. The first year they went all 7 picks.
Yeah, that was Ryan. That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, Ryan.
I love that.
And then they kind of
he knows what's going really like what wins championships, right?
Yep. And it feels like Matt Rule stepped back.
If you can't get that one quarterback piece, you need to have everything else to be as strong as possible, and that's what Scott Fitter is doing. And I got a lot of respect for him.
Man, I gotta say, y'all know me. I'm not really a Twitter guy. I'm on it off and on. I've been on Twitter more the past 4 days than any day of my life, and like I feel dirty for it. Like Twitter is like Twitter's a cesspool of just like nonsense. Like everybody's a reporter. Everybody got the scoop. It's like my sources are telling me that Deshaun Watson dined with David Tepper Denny's yesterday or something. And it's like, what? Like, what sources? And like, it gets all misconstrued. And I'm constantly just refreshing and just scrolling.
Oh yeah.
Trying to find
The
info,
only
especially
time
yesterday.
The only time I felt like this is like NBA free agency. Like this is the first time I feel like NFL free agency has either matched or surpassed the previous year. Because this is nuts.
Yeah, this has gotten out of hand. Like NFL's not even in season, and it's like leading off the show. It's
Every
wild.
week.
Okay, so let me take a quick break. We haven't forgot there's a little thing called March Madness going on right now. NCAA tournament. We're getting into the second round, starting today. Carolina tipping
We
off
should have
against Baylor.
anticipated this though. When Tom unretired on Selection Sunday.
That's nutty. Yeah, that was insane.
We should have known this was going to be one of
Something
them
was
weird
afoot.
years.
We should have known, like, because Tom probably knew. He was like, if I wait, I'm gonna get
So it's
swallowed up in the
the
news
middle of
cycle.
Selection Sunday.
That's like the epitome of Tom Brady. He was just like,
For
when can I-
retiring
when
in
can I-
Black Friday or Black History Month now. I forgive him for retiring now.
we got to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a bit. You listen to the rundown on WWBG 1470 AM and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Carolina Cobras.
If I take that bill, and my game starts to slide, I have no fear. My brother got my gun.
Catch them all season long
That's all we got. That's all we got.
on your home for Triad Sports.
Oh, are we right? Are we right? Oh, we right.
TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
Find your next car at Auto Store of North Carolina in Walkertown. Their goal is to make car shopping and car buying experience fast, friendly, and easy. They have helped hundreds of customers get behind the wheel of a newer, reliable, quality used car, and they could help you too. Stop by and speak with one of their sales professionals today and drive away with your new car. The Auto Store of North Carolina, 4964 Reedsville Road in Walkertown. Give them a call at 336-595-8550 and view the current inventory of vehicles at autostoreofnc.com.
Area softball stars. Register for the Diamond Star Softball Transfer Portal Showcase June 14th and 15th at Bob Lewis Park in Asheville, North Carolina. This showcase is for any player currently in the transfer portal or any JUCO player. Get the opportunity to showcase your skills in front of college coaches from all levels. Over the two-day event, players participate in evaluations such as softball skills and metrics by College Sports Evaluations, drill and team practice participation, and playing in 3 games. For more information, visit DiamondStarEvents.net or email Coach Ben McKinney at bmckinney@DiamondStarEvents.net.
Baylor Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture, located at 205 North Cherry Street in Kernersville, is your family chiropractor. Dr. Maylor's goal is to treat and correct the underlying cause of patient symptoms, to alleviate pain, and to restore balance. Baylor Chiropractic treats pain, sports injuries, injuries from auto accidents, and much more. Start performing to the best of your ability, pain-free. Give them a call and set your appointment today at 336-996-3737. Baylor Chiropractic in Kernersville. One stop number 6, located just 1 mile west of East Forsyth at 2748 West Mountain Street, Kernersville. A proud supporter of East Forsyth since 1983, serving fresh fried chicken and our famous taters 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. For a limited time, grab our Wife Saver family meal for only $13.99. 8 pieces of chicken and sides for 4 for just $13.99. One stop. Come see us at 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville.
Back to the rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Happy Saturday morning. Got a couple days before the beginning of spring, my favorite season of the year. You're locked into the rundown with Desmond Johnson. I am Desmond Johnson, here with Brandon Blakeney and Jalen Gilkey. March Madness is going on, and it's been pretty nuts. Thursday was crazy. There was a lot of upsets Thursday. Kind of settled down on Friday. I'm looking through the Tobacco Road bracket that myself, JP Mundy, and Ryan Stone did on Monday. First of all, let me say I'm never going to trust JP Mundy and Ryan Stone again when it comes to doing these brackets, because they talked me out of like 4 or 5 things that I wanted to do We did it like Brandon, you probably remember this when we did the greatest NFL team of all time bracket, where we had it set up where it's 3 of us. You basically vote. I was the tiebreaker in case it was 1-1, and that's how we kind of did this bracket. But I made a change where I had 4 overrides. So if it was because of you and Aaron Gabriel and what y'all did to the 85 Bears,
Get them out of here.
These dudes knocked the 85 Bears out. They had the 98 Vikings beating them in like the 3rd round or something, and that caused so much like just people were just so upset by this that I had to add this rule.
I'm gonna say this that was stupid. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's
Randy
keep
Moss, Chris,
at the time, they made a very good argument for it at the time, and I was just like, I mean, I'm overridden and everything, so I can't do anything about it. But yeah, so I was like, okay, I got 4 overrides. So regardless of what happens, if y'all do this, and I'm just like, this don't feel good, I'm gonna override it. And I didn't use any of them, so like I should have for some of these because now I'm looking through it. First of all, our bracket is just like bloody. It's just all just
I see your champion here. Your tournament champion.
No.
Yeah. So Kentucky out early.
They got hit by that St. Peter's bus.
We had Kentucky, Gonzaga, Arizona, and Iowa. Iowa out first round.
Out of there.
2 of our 4 Final Four gone day 1. Just it's just horrible. And I'm just looking through what we did and some of the stuff. I think some of the biggest surprises. For starters, the ACC is doing really, really well. They're still undefeated, I believe.
Y'all had Miami, though. That was a good
Tech
win.
got bounced, too.
Yeah, they picked Miami over USC.
Virginia Tech, they did me dirty. I had them going to the Elite 8.
Who? Texas Tech?
Virginia Tech.
Oh, Virginia Tech. Did they lose?
Yes.
Yeah, they lost yesterday.
Oh, so they're not. Oh, yeah, they're right. Texas beat them. So they're not. So the ACC is doing well. That's the only loss the ACC has had, if I'm not mistaken, so far through the first round. And yeah, Virginia, man, I think they just ran out of gas. I mean, not Virginia, Virginia Tech. I think they just ran out of gas.
Yeah, after that tourney run in the ACC, man, it was
4 games, 4 days. You beat 2 blue bloods back to back, and there was
I thought they was gonna have a little, little Kimba Magic type, type run. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, no.
But, so now I'm looking through everything that's left, and starting today, and I've got Isaac Schade from the Locked On Hills podcast. He's going to discuss his Baylor North Carolina matchup that'll be right when we're going off the air at 12:10 p.m. It's on CBS. It's going to kick off the day. I'm not sure. I've been real tentative about this game because I felt like, and I've said it all year, Carolina, they could beat a team by 20, come back the next day to the same gym and lose to that same team by 20 points. Like, I don't know.
Okay. Well,
what teams will show up.
By 32. So
I don't know.
And I mean, that's big though, because they don't usually beat Shaka Smart.
They really don't. They steamrolled Marquette. Marquette tried to turn that into the Royal Rumble. Like they were really trying to fight, like on the thing. Did you see the dude that put Caleb Love in the headlock on the floor, and they just called like a regular common foul on it? Like dude literally rolled over on his back and wrenched up. Like the ball ain't even near them. Caleb jumps up like he's about to swing on dude, and like 3 targets like no, because you're gonna get suspended.
That's the St. Louis special, baby.
Yeah,
that was some good form though. If basketball don't work out, he might need to hit the cage for real.
But he came out. See, that's kind of my point. He came out hot from the beginning. Carolina kind of knows who they are, like right now, finally, and it's good because they did it over the course of the year.
No better time than right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's better. And that's kind of what the way Roy Williams teams were. Well, they get better through the year. So when you got to March, you kind of knew what you had. Duke, I followed Duke yesterday while I was over at East doing the baseball game. I had the phone over on the side watching them. It looked like they were struggling a little bit in the beginning. They started pulling away just because they got more talent than the team they were playing. I'm looking for them.
Cal State Fullerton.
Yeah. 1. That sets up a K versus Tom Izzo Michigan State versus Duke matchup tomorrow. Hey, fella,
real quick, I'm all about the upsets, right?
Yeah.
So I had New Mexico State over UConn.
We had New Mexico State right there.
Yeah, that's a good match.
Mm-hmm. I had Chattanooga over Illinois.
We had them, but
which was a 1-point game.
Yep.
I was sick. I was right there.
They didn't even lead that game for like 20 seconds of the game,
right?
Right?
20 seconds. Unbelievable. I had Richmond over Iowa.
I think, did we? I'm trying to find where they are.
That was a bad matchup for them boys, man. Honestly.
It was because Richmond came in fuego.
We did. We had Iowa. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, man. I think I got Memphis. I think Memphis gonna make a run, bro.
I
That
do
Gonzaga
too.
game gonna be tough, but that's
Yup.
my squad. I think really could get to the Elite
It's
Eight.
crazy they got rid of your boy and just start turning up, Brandon.
Now he back now.
Mhm.
He back.
So
He played. He played.
He
that
played
first
yesterday.
game.
Yeah, he back.
He came back.
He
and started playing.
Back.
He went from oh, I need to get it fuse my vertebrae, and now I'm hooping again.
In like a month and a half span or something crazy. Because we had just talked about that on the tournament bracket show. Because I was like, is Monty Bates, what's going on with that? And Ryan was like, no, he left the team. So I'm sitting there on Thursday like, wait a minute, how's Monty Bates on the floor?
Penny said the door wasn't closed on him coming back ever throughout the whole season. He was like, if Monty wants to come back, he can come back.
I mean, I don't know if did he mean like this year?
Yeah, he
like
said this week. He said,
what did he say? Next week we can use you, my boy. We got Gonzaga coming up.
Come on, go on the plane. What is it? Come on, we got some chicken on this plane. Come on, you don't hear Monty.
It's
Let's
like
go.
when you fly out the kid on the AAU team from another state, like we
For
got
the
a
other
big
state,
tournament this
yeah.
week.
We need big 6'9". We need big.
We got a
Memphis
tournament
is
this
playing
weekend.
Memphis is one of the hottest teams in the country right now,
Yeah.
playing Gonzaga. Who do you think is the most vulnerable one seed? Gonzaga, Arizona, Kansas, or Baylor?
I don't think it's Arizona.
Exactly,
I'll tell
because
you
of that Memphis team. I think Memphis could beat them.
I think Gonzaga's playing pretty good. They were struggling for a bit in their opening round game, and then they pulled away at the end. Like I said at the top of the show, Baylor's missing their starting center, and they're missing their leading scorer.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
So,
But
and they're playing a
Arizona's
hot
on
Carolina team.
Arizona, man. We see this almost every year.
You think
Arizona's
so, bro?
on Arizona somewhere.
They gonna get to the Final Four and then just
They gonna Arizona it. But I think they are the best team.
I actually picked them to win this year, bro. Like, and I
We
don't
have them
really
in our
ever do
Final
that.
Four.
But I picked them to win just because, like, just the way my bracket shook out.
I don't know anything about Arizona. I've just known they've been good all year. But like the
And
game's
they're
on
always
at 11
good.
o'clock. The game's on at 11 o'clock
Well,
at night.
they rebuilt quick, man. I think it was like last year or the year before. They was way down. They really
I think that
rebuilt
was the year
really
they
quick.
brought in Nico Mannion. They kind of was
Yeah.
down. And then
Yeah.
They,
Like Sean
they
Miller's
built
last year.
Yeah, they built up really quick.
But I mean,
like the Pac-12 was
when you're a
tough.
program like that, you can do that. You can rebuild in a couple years because, I mean, your school isn't one of the top party schools in the country. The weather is always perfect. I don't know if either one of y'all boys have been to either U of A or ASU, but it is insane. So
No,
like,
I've never been.
and if you're a
I've
West
never been
Coast,
far
if you're a West Coast hooper, like, where else are you gonna go? Really?
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing kind of a reemergence of West Coast college basketball because it was kind of down for a while.
Pac-12 is tough.
Yeah,
Pac-12 was
Arizona,
tough this year.
UCLA made a run from the first four all the way to the national championship last year. We got that this year too. Notre Dame, they're trying to make a run. They were in the first four. They've advanced.
Same seed too, right?
Yeah, 11 seed. So, and people were talking down about
that'll
that
be the
Notre
third.
Dame team.
That'll be the third one to do that since they're playing, right?
Yep.
Because Syracuse did it too.
But Notre Dame got Texas Tech tomorrow. Now
That's
the winner
a
of
very
that,
good matchup because they kind of similar.
the winner of that will play the winner of Michigan State Duke. So you might get some ACC on ACC crime.
And a lot of these Texas Tech guys, they were on they made it to the championship with the Final Four 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
They had a bunch of
Texas Tech's an old
transfers.
team. Yeah, there's an old team. Looking just kind of poking around. Michigan, I guess you call it an upset. They were an 11 seed. They beat a 6 seed Colorado State. I'm not sure how Colorado State got a 6 seed.
I think they only lost 2 or 3 games all year.
Yeah, them and y'all were high on Murray State. I think last week.
Murray State is.
I like
I
Murray.
think they got a chance to run. I do.
They got St. Peters. Murray
Okay.
State, St. Peters at 7:15 matchup.
That's gonna
I
be a
will
good one.
say too, man, that New Mexico squad or New Mexico State, man, I like them as well.
Yeah, they got where did I see them? That was a 5-12. They beat UConn. They got Arkansas.
Yeah, my man, I forgot the
9-3.
kid's name, but he put a 30 ball on UConn and flexed on him.
Yeah,
34. I think.
There's
He went for
a
34.
couple. There's a couple.
Yeah.
Who, as it stands right now, who would you feel comfortable saying is going to reach the finals? Not win it, just get there.
All right, let me look at my.
Because you would think Gonzaga, they're the overall one, but I'm looking at their region. They're still going to have to get through probably.
Arkansas
I don't know
and
if
Duke.
Duke's going to make it that
Arkansas,
far.
Duke. Either Arkansas, Duke, Texas Tech, or Michigan State. Those are. They're gonna
I
have
ain't
to
gonna
get through
lie.
all of those
I'll
schools.
say like Arizona or maybe even Tennessee, man. Honestly.
Let's see, I'm trying to find.
That they in the same bracket.
Oh yeah, Tennessee's got Michigan. That's not an easy matchup.
Hey,
Tennessee's good.
That's not
Tennessee
easy.
is very good.
man.
Tennessee got two very strong guards. Two very strong guards.
And you
Kenny
need guard
Chandler
play.
is a problem.
You need guard play this time of the year. If you don't have guard play, you're going to find
You
yourself
can't
out
win.
early. Ain't nobody talking about Kansas really at all.
And they got the easiest. They personally, in my opinion, got the easiest walk.
Yep, because they got Creighton today, and then they'll play the winner of Richmond Providence.
Providence, I think Providence is going to win that game.
I think so too. And then Iowa State upset LSU.
Shout out Ed Cooley, man, head coach of Providence.
Hey, still doing it, man. Still doing it.
I'm just kind of there's not really
time out there.
And maybe this was the case all year.
But
there's not really a team that stands out to me.
Today did they play today? Iowa State, Wisconsin. Wisconsin gonna lose today.
No, it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Because Iowa. Honestly, too. We speaking of the ACC, man. That's a very tough matchup with Auburn. But if Miami gets past that game, I think they can make a run. Yeah, I think they can make a run.
I mean, it would be the winner of Iowa State, Wisconsin. I mean, it's crazy to me that ACC was quote unquote down this year, but so far you would think that they would like last year they were done like by this point of the tournament. Like the whole conference was just like a wrap after like first round or whatever it felt like. But even Carolina gave Roy Williams his first round loss of his career on his way out the door. Duke didn't even make the tournament last year. What are you thinking about this Duke Michigan State matchup on Sunday? Like I'm leery of this Duke team going very far because they don't play defense anymore. The past 7 games I think they've had were like the 7 worst defensive efficiency games they've had all season. Like they're trending the wrong way. They got past Cal State Fullerton as they should have, but I think Michigan State's gonna be a little bit feistier than Fullerton is.
When Izzo and Coach K meet, it's always a dogfight. It's always.
I feel like K owns him though. I feel like Duke always beats Michigan.
Didn't they beat him? They beat him for a natty in what 2000?
Did Michigan State play? No, they didn't play Duke in 2000. They played. I can't remember.
They might have beat him that tournament.
I know Michigan State beat the 2019 Duke team in the Elite Eight that had Zion Williamson and them boys. Michigan State stopped that run. So we'll see for them. And then of course, like I said, Baylor, North Carolina today at 12:10 p.m. I'll get into a little bit more with Isaac Schade in just a bit, but I think that the fact that Baylor's starting center is out and Armando Bacot out here gobbling up double doubles, like that's going to be a key. And Caleb Love, Armando Bacot, and then Caleb Love. See, you saw how Caleb Love came out shooting threes from the logo or whatever the other day. Like they looked confident. If he comes out like that, they'll be okay. Carolina can't do 3 games in 3 days.
Shout out to I know y'all don't care, none of the listeners care either, but shout out to Caleb Love and I's alma mater. They won another state championship in basketball. They won football and basketball this year. And then we working on baseball. And Max Prep had us ranked as the best baseball program in the state. So it's looking like we're gonna do that as well. Okay. We're going for the 3-peat. Christian brothers on the move. Let's make it happen.
Y'all different out there.
I respect high school athletic excellence. I really do. I like being around the programs at that level that are just doing their thing in multiple sports. I don't like hanging out at high schools where they're just good in just football or just basketball.
Bro, we're coded ice hockey. Like we coded a lot of stuff.
Oh man,
I love it. I love it. Let me take another quick break. When we come back, I was thinking about this the other day. I was trying to wait for the tournament to bring it up. The best NCAA men's teams that didn't win it all, the ones that you could think of in your lifetime.
I know mine.
Like, who's one?
I think I'm ready to already. We can go right now.
All right, cool. We're gonna take a quick
break. I'm gonna do a little bit more research, but I got one for you already.
We're gonna come right back in just a quick minute. Don't go anywhere. You listen to the rundown on WWBG 1470 AM and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Ideacom NC, a trusted telecommunications company with 60 years of experience in unified communications. Ideacom is about more than just phone systems. They provide a full range of communication solutions. Whether your business is big or small, from churches to schools to fire departments, depend on the best in cabling, phone systems, IT support, and more from Ideacom of Central North Carolina. Top-rated customer service that cares about your business needs. Check out all the host of solutions at IdeacomNC.com or call it 336-854-4455. Ideacom NC.
One stop number 6, located just 1 mile west of East Forsyth at 2748 West Mountain Street, Kernersville. A proud supporter of East Forsyth since 1983, serving fresh fried chicken and our famous taters 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. For a limited time, grab our Wife Saver family meal for only $13.99. 8 pieces of chicken and sides for 4 for just $13.99. One stop. Come see us at 2748 West Mountain Street in Kernersville. Baylor Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture, located at 205 North Cherry Street in Kernersville, is your family chiropractor. Dr. Maylor's goal is to treat and correct the underlying cause of patient symptoms, to alleviate pain, and to restore balance. Baylor Chiropractic treats pain, sports injuries, injuries from auto accidents, and much more. Start performing to the best of your ability, pain-free. Give them a call and set your appointment today at 336-996-3737. Baylor Chiropractic in Kernersville.
Franchise players.
Welcome back. Sports Channel 8's Ben Swain. How you doing, man?
I love that you guys are doing what you're doing. I love that we're doing what we're doing, because the local sports fan is really underserved in sports radio here in North Carolina. Being able to, Monday morning after the New Carolina game, being able to listen to local guys talk about the local game.
Franchise players. Every Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com and at 6 p.m. on WCOG 1320 AM and WTOB 988.
Beamer Tire and Auto Repair, now with 3 locations across the Triad in High Point, Greensboro, and our new location in Kernersville. Beamer Tire and Auto offers full-service auto repair, all tire brands, free alignment checks, oil changes, and more. In Kernersville, check out the no appointment needed Quick Lube shop. Check out their thousands of 5-star ratings via Google and Yelp. They care because they know that you can go anywhere. So try a shop with a beating heart, not a bottom line. Beamer Tire and Auto Repair. Visit us on Facebook or at beamertire.com.
Back to the rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Welcome back into the rundown here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com and WWBG 1470 AM. Getting you ready like we do per usual every Saturday morning to get your mind right before your tip-offs, your kickoffs, whatever else you got going on a Saturday. Brandon Blakeney, Jalen Gilkey in with me on hour 1. We are knee-deep in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Second round starts today. As soon as we're done here, you can literally turn your chair around, turn on your TV, and watch North Carolina versus Baylor on CBS. That's a 12-10 kickoff. Tip-off, not kickoff. I got NFL on the mind right now with the breaking news that Jalen just came in with right before we went to break. Panthers just signed Dante Jackson, cornerback. He's coming back home, 3-year deal. They'll be able to pair him with their first-round pick from last year, J.C. Horn. Kind of makes it where they probably won't put an offer out for Stephon Gilmore. I'd imagine that Gilmore's going to get more money elsewhere, although Gilmore was the best cornerback on the team last year and possibly in the league. He's still got it. The 2019 Defensive Player of the Year. We'll keep track of that. But again, Dante Jackson just re-signed, just broke across ESPN a couple minutes ago. 3-year deal with the Panthers. He's coming back to the team that drafted him 4 years prior. NCAA, both of you guys seemed kind of geek right before we went to break. I wanted to do this thing where instead of honoring the teams, because I was going to do like an NCAA greatest team ever bracket like we did the NFL thing. But with everything going on, I was like, nah, let's not do that yet. I want to talk about the teams that were really, really good that fell just short, like the ones that were supposed to win it and didn't win it. So NCAA tournament teams that were so good but fell short and did not win NCAA titles. Which one of you guys want to go first in terms of over the course of your lifetime, one of the ones that stands out that was a really good team that just didn't win at all?
Man, I'll tell you. The one that comes to mind with me is 2010, Coach Cal's first great recruiting class, Kentucky. That team that lost in the Elite Eight to West Virginia.
Wisconsin.
West
Virginia.
John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins. Yep.
DeMarcus Cousins, Eric Bledsoe, Patrick Patterson. Like his first, like John Wall is one of
Yeah.
my favorite college players ever, man.
Of all
Like when
time,
he came
bro.
out with the sleeve Dougie,
Bro,
like that.
no,
man.
bro. When it was remember that was the first team to ever have Nike Elite socks.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first team ever.
Yep.
I saw them. I was like, "Yo, how do I get these socks?" So I was a freshman in school then, so I was really like, really hoop dreaming it out. Like,
yeah.
And I'm like, I got to find these socks before this season.
I forgot about the elites. You can get about 2 pairs for $35.
Oh my
Bro,
God,
it was
socks.
bro. When they first dropped it for one pair, it was $16.
What for a pair of socks? They like massage your feet or something? Like, what do they do?
But when I got them, I realized I was like, no, these are so different from any other sock. First of all, they was thick, but they had like pad like on the bottom, like it was designed for hoopers. So like,
they used to absorb the sweat really good too.
Oh man, I used to hear the same thing about. I went into I can't remember the name of the store. It's one of those like high end sneaker stores in Winston that sells like authentic Jordans.
They got the dead stock wrapped up.
Yeah,
everything's wrapped in plastic.
I had 2 dudes. They used to advertise on the station actually, and I had 2 dudes in there one day, literally trying to explain to me, if I don't have the money for it, never try on a pair of Yeezys, because if you try on a pair of Yeezys, you will buy them. And like I was like, you crazy? There's no way. They're like, nah, for real. You want to try one now? And they had me shook. Like, no, I don't want to. Try. I ain't trying to explain this $450 bill to my wife when I come home for a pair of shoes from Kanye
West. I'm telling you, bro, that team revolutionized. They did a lot of things that changed the landscape of basketball, bro.
I'm telling you, man.
Okay, I'm feeling 2010 Kentucky. I feel that. All right, Jalen, what you got?
05, the Illini. D. Brown, Luther Head, Darren Williams.
I know what they ran into.
Man,
I know what they ran into. They were almost perfect in the regular season.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. They were, and like I said, as we established, that I'm from St. Louis. So like Illinois, either you pick Illinois or you rock with Mizzou, and Mizzou was super down there.
Yeah.
So I was riding hard with Illinois. I had my straight back braids, like I rocked the headband back then too. So like D Brown was really my everything.
I thought he was so cold.
And I think I'm gonna be honest. I think this is where my Carolina bias kind of comes from.
I can see that. I can easily see that because that team.
But I think we just got to a root problem here because I've always intrinsically I've been like,
I was waiting for you.
I was like, why do I have it?
Like he's gonna connect the dots, and
that's why I'm like, I wonder why. This is exactly why I am the way I am with Carolina. I like picking with my friends. I like picking with my friends because like I'm not from here. I'm a neutral party. But I just feel like everybody here, y'all take it a little bit off the deep end.
It's different here. It's different here, man.
Ain't really, you know what I'm saying? The team ain't really like that.
So ACC hoops here is different. Now Indiana can have high school ball,
y'all
but
think
college ball,
y'all almost like the Cowboys. Y'all almost like the Cowboys.
No, we win things. See, there's a difference. Like we actually come home with hardware. Like
the mentality is the same. It's like every year is our year. We're gonna win every year.
When it comes to Carolina, I'm 44 years old. You know how many bad seasons I've had during my lifetime as a Carolina fan? Like 3. Like literally, there's been like 3 like
I wouldn't even say the
seasons. Like we expect to win.
Y'all are more like the Patriots then. I give y'all that.
I mean, we kind of went. I grew up in it. Like I don't know what it's like to struggle like during a college basketball season. Now we might not be, only 4 losses, 32 wins type season, but we're not going to be 11 and we're not going to be NC State.
No,
we're not going to be them. Like that's not us. We don't do that. I'm actually going to start off with a Carolina team. Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to connect the dots.
That's the root.
I was thinking in my head as you said it out loud. I was like, I wonder if he's going to realize.
Childhood trauma. The real thing. You got to work.
They ran into Raymond Felton and Rashad McCants.
Raymond Felton, Rashad McCants, and we don't talk about Rashad McCants around here, but we don't talk about him.
Yeah, I hate how he went out because he was one of my favorite too going.
I loved him, man, but he
went
did that
bang
to himself.
out on you.
He did that to himself. I'm gonna go starting off 1998 Carolina. That was Bill Guthrie's first. Dean Smith had just retired, but he did it in the fall, so they couldn't really pick somebody else. So they had to go with his hand-picked successor, Bill Guthrie, who had been sitting with him for 30 years. That team was loaded. They had Antoine Jamison, Vince Carter. I think Ed Cota was the point guard on that team. They finished number 1 in the regular season. Got to the Final Four, then they got beat by Utah of all teams. I remember, I think Vince Carter had like the worst game ever. Like he missed like 15 shots or something in that game. It was crazy. Like we were begging him to stop shooting the basketball, and Utah ended up winning that game. But I remember that team was so fun to watch. It was like, especially Vince Carter, because Vince Carter at that point had ballooned into this, like you didn't know what he was going to do. Like he was going to dunk on you, dunk over you, like 360s. Like we don't see that anymore in college basketball. I was thinking about that too. Like, where are the dunkers? Like, where are the dudes that can like just go in on somebody?
They ain't been like nobody like that since then, though.
I mean, Zion just left.
Zion, that year was
Just
probably
left.
the last year where you had a dude where you were anticipating, like if he got the ball on a like a fast break and he's out there by himself, and like you like
Obi Toppin was like that too, though.
Was that the same year? Well, that was the next year, 2020, right? Yeah, because they didn't play the tournament. Not Obi Toppin's year was the year that they didn't even do the tournament because of COVID. Remember? Because they came in rated as the 1 seed and they didn't even get a chance to play for it. Yeah, Dayton had a good team that year. But I had them as one. Let me go around one more time. You got another one, Brandon, that you can think of?
Honestly, man, I don't remember exactly the year, but I'm gonna go with that Memphis team that Derrick Rose was on.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
That was 07, I think.
Yeah, like
yeah,
I
think so.
mean,
They lost
his
to
free
Kansas.
throws kept them out.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Chris Douglas Roberts.
Hey,
I remember that
Big Dorsey was. Oh, we had to look the biggest man in the gym with the smallest braids.
Didn't even get no net. They ain't even touch his neck.
That boy braids was touching his earlobe.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
But he was out there with that jersey on. You, Chris Douglas Roberts. Yeah, that's a good one too.
I remember that team too. That was a fun team to watch. Of course, in hindsight, Derrick Rose probably shouldn't have never been at Memphis, like academically to begin with. But that's a whole other story.
It's more than a dude named
Dez is a professional hater. Dez is a professional hater, bro.
It happens when you get older. As you get older, you begin to integrate like just hate from your heart. Like you're able to get it out, but you're able to. I'm able to articulate it in a manner where people can appreciate the hatred.
And it just spews out.
It just
hurt go,
pours out.
man.
It pours out. It really does. I don't mind it. It's okay. People like it. It's cool. Jalen, what you got? You got another one you could think of? So I got the granddaddy of them all, like sitting in my hand. I got the granddaddy of them all.
I mean, we just talked about them a little bit. I'll touch on that 18-19 Duke team. That team was. I mean, they had 3 guys get drafted in the first 5 picks. Like,
I mean, they came in rated 1, 2, 3. Like, recruiting. Like that's never happened before, has it?
I wanted to pick something a little bit more dated, but I couldn't think of anything else real quick.
I'll give you a couple of honorable mentions because I went to go look for a couple. Of course, Fab 5, 93, Michigan, that lost to Carolina. That team was 31-5 and a 1 seed, got all the way back to the national championship game. That was the Fab 5 sophomore year, the timeout, Chris Webber, all that stuff. 98 Duke or 99 Duke lost to Connecticut in the national championship. They were 37.
That's Ray Allen, Connecticut, wasn't it?
It might have been 99. No. Ray Allen was 96. 99 would have been
Rip.
Super Rip. Yeah, I think it was Rip Hamilton's super team. Yeah. That Duke team had Elton Brand, William Avery, went undefeated in ACC play. They won their first 4 tournament games by 30 points. I mean, like that 99 team.
Was Corey Maggette on that team?
I think he was. Yeah. That team was loaded. Was Jason Williams?
Corey Maggette was so strong in college, bro.
Yeah.
It was so crazy. Like, he was like, this is a grown man. Like, why is he even playing with y'all little boys?
That's
Corey
another
Maggette looked like
a whole other story, too.
He looked like he was built like he needed to play defensive end.
What happened to him?
Like Trevor Keels, who they got now, they built like the exact same.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. The game's kind of.
See, now you know the guys is technology and training. Everybody's kind of caught up body figure wise.
Yeah, people don't stand out like a Vince Carter did. Like
but back then, bro, Corey Maggette was like prison yoked playing basketball.
Ran water.
You know,
ran water. The Kansas in '97. That team was loaded too. They went 34-2. That was Roy Williams' best team at Kansas, probably. Rafe LaFrance, Paul Pierce, Scott Pollard, Gerard Hayes, Jock Vaughn.
Was it? He had that 7-2?
Yeah, he had that clip, boy.
Yep. I mean, they were good. Arizona, they beat
Jock Vaughn too, man.
They were good. I'm looking around. 95 Arkansas. They just won the national championship the year before. Everybody came back. Scotty Thurman, Corliss Williamson, them boys. They ended up losing to UCLA, actually, the O'Bannon brothers.
You got any of those Arizona teams on this list somewhere?
Yeah.
We talked about
actually, no, I don't have any in the top 10 that I see that's an Arizona squad.
Okay.
Usually if Arizona gets there, it feels like they kind of knock it out. But there's two more. The 2015 Kentucky team that we need to talk about because they were 40-0.
Was that Carl Towns lost to Frank Kaminsky?
Willie Cauley-Stein.
Bro, the refs was cheating that whole game. I don't care.
The Harrison twins. They lost to Wisconsin. They lost to Wisconsin and robbed us of a Kentucky Duke final.
Bro, that would have been one of the best games of all time.
Devin Booker didn't even start for that team, bro.
Nope. And now look at him. Like
remember he was running them. That's when they had the two platoons, bro. They was
the blue team,
and the white team. Not one sub. Nope, all five. Let's go, everybody in and out. I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That team should have went undefeated. Like that.
They were there.
Went undefeated. Like
Kaminsky and Sam Decker, man.
No, it was the refs. It was the refs, bro. If you watch that game back, you'd be like, yo, come on, like these
free
fouls,
throws, man.
Like
my man Larry Frank. Like Larry Frank always says, man, free throws. And that killed them. That
one
killed
team shoot 35 and the other team shoot 12. I mean,
that's true. That's true. But the granddaddy of them all, y'all, there's only one, and most people still consider it probably the greatest team of all time. 1991 UNLV. The team that lost to Duke in the Final Four that should not have lost that game. They may still be the greatest. I know they're the greatest college basketball team of my lifetime that I could think of. These dudes would come on CBS every Saturday afternoon and would beat whoever by 30. Like it didn't matter who it was. They beat Arkansas by 30 one Saturday. They were beating up their whole everybody. Everybody was catching hands. Like their hands were rated E for everybody. Like they were just going and getting whoever. But Larry Johnson, Greg Anthony was the point guard, Stacey Augmon, they all were first round draft picks. Anderson Hunt, we get you right there.
Stacey Augmon was the one that shooter, the cradle, didn't he?
They had George Ackles, the center, who would like scream every time he would get a rebound or dunk or whatever, like scream in your face. He'd be like, ah, and then like
what was that coach name?
Tarkanian. Jerry Tarkanian. They still hold the record for the biggest margin of victory in the NCAA tournament final the year before against Duke when they beat these dudes by 30 points. No one's done that since. The next year, the same two teams come back. Duke had Grant Hill, who might have been the best player on the court that night. But again, it took Duke to play the perfect game and for Greg Anthony to foul out for them to win. And even then, UNLV had a chance to win the game at the end. They were only down 2, and Larry Johnson passed shooting a 3. Time was running out. They didn't have a point guard on the floor for the final seconds. They end up losing by 2, 79-77. Duke goes on, and Coach K wins his first national championship, which is a kind of a way to come full circle here as we're watching K on his last round going through the NCAA tournament. But that by far was probably the biggest win of his career. That team embarrassed Duke the year before. It warms my heart talking about it right now. Now that I'm thinking about it, like it's still one of the memories.
Hey, Brandon.
It's still one of the memories from childhood.
It just be slipping out. Man.
I think about it fondly
his
all the time.
His left atrium pumps nothing but pure hate.
You remember that night back in April 1991 when UNLV just put that thing on Duke?
Left side of his heart
they just kept dunking on him like all night long.
Like Christmas.
Bobby Hurley crying. Like, I mean, it was a great day. It was a great day. It was so good. I got to take a break. These guys got to get out of here. Coming up next in just a bit, Isaac Schade from Locked on Hills podcast. He's going to talk about Carolina Baylor here at 12:10 and a little bit more about the Tar Heels program, what they've been doing this year so far. You're about to get into hour 2 of the rundown here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com and WWBG 1470 AM.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
The wait is over. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails is now open. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel. Open 7 days a week starting at 11 a.m. daily. Freshly made Southern cuisine with signature cocktails and lunch specials daily. The location for your next event with Simply Sonia's catering specials. Open now. Simply Sonia's Southern Cuisine and Cocktails. 3050 University Parkway inside the Best Western Plus Hotel in Winston-Salem.
area softball stars. Register for the Diamond Star Softball Transfer Portal Showcase June 14th and 15th at Bob Lewis Park in Asheville, North Carolina. This showcase is for any player currently in the transfer portal or any JUCO player. Get the opportunity to showcase your skills in front of college coaches from all levels. Over the 2-day event, players participate in evaluations such as softball skills and metrics by College Sports Evaluations, drill and team practice participation, and playing in 3 games. For more information, visit DiamondStarEvents.net or email Coach Ben McKinney at bmckinney@DiamondStarEvents.net.
Back to the rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Well, welcome back into the rundown here on TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com and WWBG 1470 AM, where you can find us every Saturday morning live, getting you ready for your sports weekend, 10 a.m. to 12 noon here in the Triad and points beyond. The Carolina Tar Heels had one of the more eye-raising appearances on Thursday, the opening day of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, defeating Marquette by a whole lot. And to have on right now, a pleasure to have on the host of the Locked On Heels podcast, Isaac Schade. What's going on, Isaac? How you doing, brother?
Hey, good. How are you, Des? Thank you so much for having me. Joy to be here.
Man, as a Carolina fan, I don't hide my fandom, even though I know like the unwritten rule is, well, if you're in media, you're not supposed to show favorites towards this or that or whatever. I don't do that. Everyone that knows me, they know that I'm a Carolina fan. I'm not so much a fan of Duke. I can objectively talk about both teams, but everyone knows where my heart lies, and it's with the boys in Baby Blue down in Chapel Hill. To have them win the way they did on Thursday, how surprised were you at the Heels' performance Thursday versus Marquette in the first round of the NCAA tournament?
I was very surprised. And first, let me say, you're in good company. I was sitting like courtside yesterday during the game, and just because of how it was going, there was a couple times when I had to really rein it in and stop myself from getting all excited. So I'm right there with you. But I was very surprised, especially because of the competition. Carolina was 0-3 against Shaka Smart while he was at Texas. The Tar Heels were ranked higher in every one of those matchups and couldn't win any of them. And so I honestly expected a Carolina win. I did think that would happen. But like in the, one of those close ones where there's Caleb Love hitting free throws down the stretch and you end up winning by 6-8 or something like that. And so the start that they got off to and just kept going. I mean, it was a blitzkrieg. It was crazy. Mm-hmm. And so not expected in any way.
It was funny too, because I think as Tar Heel fans, we kind of know what kind of night we're going to have in the first, 5 minutes of a basketball game this year. And if Caleb Love is hitting threes and Armando's doing his thing, RJ's getting to the cup, and it's like immediate, like from the very jump off, they kind of got a little bounce in their step. They're going to probably win. They're probably going to win fairly comfortably. It's those nights where they struggle in the very beginning and either kind of dig a hole for themselves or let a team linger around. Those are the ones where it really hurts. And we saw that last week in the ACC tournament. The Heels faced 3 games in 3 days, basically, to win the ACC tournament. And they looked gassed versus Virginia Tech on day 2 and lost. Of course, head coach Hubert Davis is really only running like 7 kids, really 6. He's rotating Puff Johnson in as a guard to give Caleb Love and RJ Davis a little bit of a breather. But you don't really see Justin McCoy or anybody else, really. Dontrez Styles got in there when they were up by like 30 on Thursday. But that didn't set up for a team that doesn't have the depth that Carolina has. The NCAA is a different beast altogether, though. You play 2 games over 3 days for 3 different weekends. How do you think that'll benefit this North Carolina Tar Heels team?
That's a great question. Exactly. Like getting off to that hot start with Caleb Love just raining threes from the get-go.
The logo.
Yeah, I mean, that was huge. And just like you alluded to, last week, I guess it would have been Friday against Virginia Tech, it just had that feel. Brady Manick had hit a 3 in 23 straight games for the Tar Heels and just couldn't. It was one of those couldn't throw it in the ocean kind of games. Yeah. And so you knew it from the jump yesterday. And what that led to ultimately is exactly what you're saying. No Tar Heel played more than 34 minutes. And to be able to save legs in that way, especially for what they're going to have to go up against today, I guess, as we're airing this against Baylor, they're going to need those legs. And so to be able to get out to that lead, not only get out to it, but sustain it and push it further ahead. I mean, the way they jumped out to start the second half, hit 9 of their first 11 shots, that enables more minutes from Styles and Puff Johnson. And so that is a huge win. And like you said, I cannot figure out Coach Davis's substitution patterns.
Yeah.
If I was betting money, I would have said Puff Johnson's the first one in. And then here comes Dontrez Styles yesterday, the first one to sub in. And Andy comes in for Mondo. So now all of a sudden you've got this lead, but you're playing Manic as a small ball 5. So I can't figure that out to save my life.
It feels like it's like Dontrez Styles, Puff Johnson. Depending on the matchup, Justin McCoy might get a little bit of a run. Or if Baycott's in foul trouble, maybe that's the best way to put it. If Baycott's in foul trouble, then McCoy gets a little bit of minute time. I'm trying to think if there's somebody else that gets off the bench. Kerwin Walton is just completely falling out.
And so much of that really with the loss of Anthony Harrison Garcia, that is a big key to what, because obviously, but I mean, before Garcia was gone, he was in the starting lineup, and Manic was, we got to remember, was the 6th man on this team. Before Garcia left. And so
that's right. Yeah.
I think that's been a big part of why some of those sub patterns are off.
Yeah. It's crazy too, because I know we only have him now for hopefully a couple more weeks, but Brady Manic has been fantastic for the Tar Heels. Really, I think this team hit a turning point in that 20-point loss to Wake Forest. Because I was sitting there looking back at the schedule and just kind of what they've been doing. And really, they've kind of been playing like this for the past 2 weeks. The only bump was that weird Pittsburgh game at home, and Duke at home. But other than that, Virginia Tech and a neutral thing. But again, that was the second game in 2 days.
Sure,
he was playing 6 kids, So I get that. But everyone else they kind of saw in that 2-week stretch, they played fairly well, including, of course, the epic game at Duke and Coach K's final game. At Cameron Indoor Stadium. We have Locked on Heels podcast host Isaac Schade with us. You can follow him on Twitter at Isaac Schade. That's SCHADE, or at Locked on Heels. They have new episodes pretty much daily throughout the week, so you can get all your content for Tar Heel basketball, football, and more. So definitely a great follow on Twitter. Isaac, to win in the big dance, you always hear it this time of year, you need great guard play. What have you liked and disliked about the play of RJ Davis and Caleb Love from what you've seen so far this season?
Well, I'll start on the negative side so that we can get to the good things. It's been the games where Caleb feels like he has to take the weight of the world on his shoulders. That's where things go awry, is that it feels like he has trouble sometimes switching modes from, if I'm not hitting, how can I benefit in other ways? And I don't think he needs to feel that weight, because this is such a dynamically in good shape offensive team that if he were able to be more of a distributor in those games where his shot is not falling, then the Tar Heels would be in better shape. Now, yesterday was not that case as he was hitting everything in sight, thankfully. Whereas like RJ, for example, had definitely an off day shooting yesterday, 1 for 10 from the field. And not only one he made was a 3, but career high 12 assists, which is 2 off the Carolina record for the NCAA tournament set by Kendall Marshall. He had 14.
That was crazy. So, I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when those two guys are playing well together, and honestly, that was one of my keys coming into yesterday's game, is knowing the way Shaka Smart teams defend. How do Davis and Love hold up against that? Also knowing that Leakey's probably going to have to help out with some of that pressure. And they answered the call in a huge way. The Tar Heels only had 10 turnovers. No, that's double digits. But against a Shaka Smart team, I mean, you're not surprised if you get up to 18, 19 turnovers. And so to have 12 assists and just 1 turnover for RJ is great. I actually had a chance to speak with his dad in the concourse yesterday before the game, and was just speaking so highly of the way that those two young men have come together, the way they've rallied, and just I was just so thankful for the reminder he gave me that these are young men, 18 to 22-year-olds, trying to get papers turned in, trying to go through, these little ailments that they have as the season unfolds, and people just don't know what they're going through. And so I think that's something we often fail to remember as fans, is that they're human beings just like us. But have really loved RJ Davis's progression this year has been phenomenal. Like I said to his dad yesterday, I don't know RJ's plans for next year, but assuming he's back, I feel very comfortable with the offense in RJ Davis's hands. Like if he's doing what he did yesterday, awesome. Let's have more of that.
Yeah, the conversion of RJ Davis from clearly he was a shooting guard into a point guard, more along the veins of what we've come to expect for Chapel Hill and Carolina. It has been very eye-opening to see, and I love the fact that it finally puts Caleb Love in his natural position, which is at the 2, and he doesn't have to force things and try to learn point guard on the spot like he was trying to do last year under Roy Williams. So there has been a huge difference with that. Talk to me a little bit about the first-year coaching job of Hubert Davis, because I find myself I shouldn't do it, but I get on social media, I get on Facebook, I get on Twitter, I kind of go in little groups or whatever, and I'll just kind of gauge the audience, like what are you guys talking about? So I kind of know what are the things you want to know. And it was really bothering me through most of this season how hard a lot of Tar Heel fans were on the perceived coaching job of Hubert Davis and these kids. Like, to echo what you just said, they were really hard on Caleb Love, RJ Davis, really most of the team. And it's like they didn't put 2 + 2 together to get to 4. Like, they didn't understand, okay, Darcy Garcia was the starting 4 on this team ahead of Brady Manning. So I mean, imagine that. Like, he was already ahead of him in the starting lineup, and you don't have him anymore. Anthony Harris is no longer on the team. You don't have a backup point guard anymore. Like, it's just like certain things where people didn't understand what was going on. For this team to be, 25-9 right now, and opportunity to go to the Sweet 16 with a win later on here and actually in a couple of minutes. Give me a grade for Hubert Davis's coaching job this season in your eyes.
Listen, I am a Hubert Davis apologist. I am all on board the Hubert Davis train. So I'll go A-, like just because I don't want to, I'm a professor on as well. And so I don't like to give out many A's or A+. So I'll give him an A-. But listen, the man, it's his first year as a head coach. And I know that in this day and age, people just are hesitant to give people grace and patience. But that has been my what I've been preaching all season long. February and March. And I'm not saying this is the 2017 team, but it's very similar to that, where they just came into their own down the stretch, got a number 1 seed, and then just found their way through the NCAA tournament. And so the funny thing for me now is the story you hear and see people telling, like after the Duke win, after a game like the Marquette game on Thursday, people are starting to change their tune a little bit. And I'm not going to be an I told you so, but I'm just saying I have been all on board Hubert Davis all season long. And I think people are finally coming around on that. And like you said, it's all part of this social media machine where because of social media, everyone has a voice, everyone has an opinion, and everyone gets to hear everyone's opinions. And
everybody's a coach.
Everybody's
a director. It's just
exactly
it's wild.
But you know who actually is the coach? Hubert Davis, and he's doing a bang up job.
For what he has to work with right now. I love the fact that he realized somewhere along the way, you know what? These 5 kids are my best chance to win games, and they're 18, 19 years old. I'm not going to run them down to the point where they can't play for the rest of the season or something like that. So when he made the decision to go with that hard 5, the Iron 5 is what they've begun to be called after the Duke game, and to have a couple of guys come in to spell them in rotations, that and the ability for him to recognize that he did something wrong and he quickly corrects it, where he hasn't shown a stubborn streak in terms of wanting to stick with what he thinks is going to work. He's willing to actually experiment. And I like that going forward. I think that's going to really help, especially with the newer kids that are going to start coming in. Real quick before I get you out of here, Isaac Schade, the host of the Locked On Heels podcast that you can catch pretty much every day. Go follow them at Locked On Heels on Twitter. Give me some quick thoughts on Carolina, the 8 seed taking on 1 seed Baylor, 12-10 tip-off
here today. What do the Hills need to do to advance?
Great question. Well, I mean, you if you thought the Marquette game was tough, this is a different type of tough. The Marquette game is more of a, we're going to be feisty and we're going to snatch you and try to interrupt you and get under your skin. Baylor is just this insanely connected unit that comes together. And so they're going to have to be ready to go at or above the level they were against Marquette. One of the things that you just talked about, Coach Davis's coaching. Look at what he's freed up Leaky Black to do, going from one game guarding 6'10", 250 Paolo Banchero to the next game guarding 5'10", 170 Kihei Clark, and then going on to shutting down other people along the way, and the job he did on Justin Lewis against Marquette. And so that's another big thing is I think Leaky is probably, and this is just my speculation, going to be on Matthew Meyer. And so he has to just keep doing what he does well. And Leaky Black is the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. I do not care what anybody else says. Stop looking at steals and blocks and look at what the man's doing. Anyway, that's a soapbox I'll get off of.
I totally agree. I think that's a great exit rant right there.
Yeah,
with the mic drop from Isaac Schade. Definitely follow him on Twitter, Isaac Schade, SCHADE, or just follow Locked on Heels to get the latest on Carolina. Heels taking on the 1 seed Baylor. They're actually coming in kind of wounded. Their center is out for the season. I thought I saw that their leading scorer is going to miss this game today as well.
Yep. So it's LJ Cryer is there. Yep.
Yeah. LJ Cryer. So it kind of sets up for something to happen.
Yep. And so Jonathan Chama Chachua is the center who's out. Favorite name in college basketball.
I was going to say, yeah, you really like that.
And so here's what that does. That opens things up for Baycott to feast inside. They do have Flo Thamba, who is a stud in there as well. But get the ball to Mondo. Let him go to work.
Well, we'll find out here in just a bit as we get you ready for tip-off. They're going to start off our Saturday, 12:10 p.m. So literally you'll have enough time to turn this off, run to the bathroom, get to the kitchen, get something to drink, sit back down, and watch the tip-off between the Tar Heels and the Baylor Bears, the defending national champions, I should say. I should give them a little bit more respect than that. Isaac, it's been a pleasure, man. We got to get you on one of our panels or something here soon also, too. So we'll definitely have you back on soon, man.
Love it. Would love to join you. Thanks so much, Desmond. Been a great honor to be on.
Coming up, more from the Rundown here on WWBG 1470 AM and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.
You're listening to The Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
This is Coach Rez, head coach of your Carolina Cobras Arena football team, the 2018 National Arena League champions. Join us for our 4th year in the Snake Pit at the Greensboro Coliseum. Be a part of the Carolina Cobras tailgating group before every home game starting April 30th. Season tickets are now on sale for as low as 2 for $128. You can reach the ticket office at 336-455-7232 or at carolinacobras.com. Fear the Fang.
Area softball stars. Register for the Diamond Star Softball Transfer Portal Showcase June 14th and 15th at Bob Lewis Park in Asheville, North Carolina. This showcase is for any player currently in the transfer portal or any JUCO player. Get the opportunity to showcase your skills in front of college coaches from all levels. Over the 2-day event, players participate in evaluations such as softball skills and metrics by College Sports Evaluations, drill and team practice participation, and playing in 3 games. For more information, visit DiamondStarEvents.net or email Coach Ben McKinney at bmckinney@DiamondStarEvents.net. Ideacom NC, a trusted telecommunications company with 60 years of experience in unified communications. Ideacom is about more than just phone systems. They provide a full range of communication solutions. Whether your business is big or small, from churches to schools to fire departments, depend on the best in cabling, phone systems, IT support, and more from Ideacom of Central North Carolina. Top-rated customer service that cares about your business needs. Check out all the host of solutions at IdeacomNC.com or call at 336-854-4455. Ideacom NC.
You are locked into Tobacco Road Sports Radio, your home for Triad Sports.
And you know this, man.
Back to the Rundown with Desmond Johnson.
Welcome back into the rundown here as we round third base heading home. About 40 minutes from now, North Carolina is going to be tipping off against Baylor. Second round of the NCAA men's basketball tournament. You can watch that on CBS if you are in the Triad. Want to welcome everyone listening to us on WWBG 1470 AM or online at tobaccoroadsportsradio.com, where you can find us live every Saturday morning here doing the rundown. Desmond Johnson in the house with you. Our second hour crew, Larry Frank, the host of Frankly Speaking Sports. You can catch that Tuesday through Thursdays on Tobacco Road Sports Radio. A lot of national guests, national topics there, so you can catch up with Larry. And beat writer for Sports Illustrated, Skylar Callahan, also my co-host for the Believe in Carolina Panthers podcast, which drops every Tuesday with a brand new episode. And lo and behold, Skylar, we've actually got some stuff to discuss. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. We touched on it in hour one with Jalen and Brandon. I want to get this cleared up because there seems to be a perception. It's weird following the Panther fan base sometimes, and you know this, where perceptions can be all over the place in terms of what the front office is actually doing. And it feels like it went from no, don't blow the farm on Deshaun Watson to immediately to, oh, David Tepper doesn't have the cojones to pay for a third and fourth guaranteed year for Watson. Can you please explain to these people what happened? Because I think people think that Tepper came off as cheap in this, when in actuality, I don't think they understood that this was all new money and that the entire contract was fully guaranteed. It was a historic deal that the Browns have done here with Deshaun Watson. Can you explain like the timeline of what happened here? Because I have an idea of how the Browns got back in this, but it feels like there's certain steps that actually went down that led to Watson going to Cleveland of all places. So,
well, I mean, we know that Carolina's been involved with Deshaun Watson for over a year now. They've been interested. They've shown their interest. They've done their due diligence on the legal side of things, and they've been in conversations with the Texans for a very long time. So they've kind of knew what the asking price was going to be. And when the deal came out that the Browns only traded draft picks away, I think that shocked a lot of people because everyone just expected that there was going to be one or two players plus picks because that's what everyone was hearing. I don't know if we'll ever get to find out what the Panthers were actually going to send. I'm sure it'll get leaked here soon. I've actually been trying to get a hold of a few people that may have an idea of what that may be. Haven't got anything confirmed on that yet, but the only reason the Browns got back in the mix is because of the Baker Mayfield thing. Because as soon as they showed interest, Baker Mayfield came out and made his spiel on Twitter saying goodbye to Cleveland, and he took it hard. And
very emotional.
You could see that breakup was coming. So they had no other choice but to go back after Deshaun Watson, because if Baker Mayfield was not going to be back in Cleveland, who else are they going to get? And I think that's a big reason why they got back in it, number one. Number two, I think the representatives for Deshaun Watson said, well, look, you're already out of the running, but if you want to get back in, then do this. And that's what they did. They got the whole guaranteed money, $250 million. And when they went back to the Panthers and David Tepper's like, no, I just – some people at first didn't even want the Panthers to get Deshaun Watson.
Right. Yeah, let's start right there. Half the fan base didn't even want him here because of what's going on off the field.
And then the last 4 to 5 days leading up to this decision, everyone was kind of like transferring to the side of, oh, I want him to be here. And then the moment Tepper backs out of the guaranteed money thing, then it's, I'll blame David Tepper. This is why we need to wait before we actually judge, because I think it would have been awful for the Panthers to commit $250 million to a guy that may not play 6 games this year, 8 games.
Even know. I don't even know when he's going to be available.
Exactly. And even worse, Desmond, is we don't know about these 22 lawsuits yet.
Yeah.
If that comes out and say 15 of them come out that he's guilty, then what? You just wasted $250 million on a guy that you don't want being the head of your organization.
But he hasn't touched the field in a year. You know, like you don't even know exactly what you're getting. You just put $250 million guaranteed in Deshaun Watson's hands. And I feel like the Browns, it's still the Browns. You know what I mean? It's still Cleveland. Like something is going to go wrong with this thing here. Larry, what were your thoughts when you were watching this stuff fall? Because to me, echoing off of what Skylar said, I feel like Carolina was the leader in the clubhouse because they had the best deal on the table with the Texans. The Texans wanted to do the deal with Carolina because they're going to get the most back for it. And Deshaun, by all accounts, he waived his no trade clause so they could actually meet with him. He was fine with going to Carolina. I'd heard he likes the offensive pieces there. He liked, everything over there. He was cool with it. And somewhere along the way, they told the Browns no, because they said it in the press. He didn't want to play in the cold. So we knew that early in the week that he wasn't going to go there. To me, what I think happened, they contact the Panthers on Wednesday night or Thursday morning, wherever you want to put it. And they go, hey, we'll come to you if you fully guarantee the whole thing. And Tepper, Rule, Fitter, all of them, they're like, nah, we'll put the guaranteed money in the first 2 years, but we're not going to fully guarantee you $230 million or whatever. That's just, crazy talk. So like, all right, cool. A couple hours go by. Panthers are no longer in the running. I think the Browns found out what that was and jumped back in and said, we'll do it. And then Watson's camp is like, okay, hold on. And then they went back to the Saints and Falcons and offered it to them. When they said no, that's when he went to Cleveland, because he had already said no to Cleveland already. So for him to turn around 3 days later and be like, no, I was just playing, to me, that tells me the Browns jumped back in because they found out what it was going to take to get him. And then he met with the Saints owner in Atlanta, like a second meeting, a day or so after the first. I have to assume that this was the conversation. And the Saints and the Falcons didn't feel comfortable doing that. And that's how the Browns ended up with him. What was your take on this, Larry? Because this was about face. Like, a couple of days ago, he wanted nothing to do with Cleveland. Now he's the $230 million fully guaranteed man in Northeast Ohio. Oh, wait, I got you muted here. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the best thing that could have happened to the Panthers is not getting Deshaun Watson. And I say that because just look at what they did already in the last 2 days.
They went to work.
Found out they haven't had him. And Skylar, you know better than anyone, would they have been able to make these moves if they did get Deshaun Watson? What do? They bring in Bradley Bozeman, the unbelievable offensive guard that played for the Ravens. I think he has 0 penalties in 2021. That's what we need to win right there. Then you got another offensive guy that played for the Rams, Austin Corbett, not too long ago. So your need on the offensive line, I'm not going to say is finished, but it is a heck of a lot better than it was.
It is light years better than what it was 2 weeks ago. Like Scott Fitter wasn't playing around when he said, well, offensive line, we got to fix that. He went out as soon as Watson said no or whatever, immediately following. I mean, they were kind of doing it while they were pursuing him, but as soon as it was like no, it was just like this waterfall of key free agents. And you almost can look at it. Skylar, I was going to ask you this because it feels like the first 2 years Matt Rule had a heavy say in who they brought in free agent wise. It doesn't feel like his fingerprints are on a lot of these. It feels like it's really more a different vision. Are you catching that vibe? Because they feel more targeted than the buckshot that it was last year when they were bringing in free agents.
Well, I mean, I still think he has a lot of say. I don't think that he's maybe as hands-on as he was a year ago, because I think the 2 previous off seasons, he had his hands all over everything. And he kind of was the driving force of whatever moves that they made, where now I think they're more so working collaboratively, which is what the goal was when Scott Fitter came in. You're seeing a different approach. But I also think, everyone last year was slamming Matt Rule because they got Cam Irving, they got Pat Elflein, yada, yada, yada. Now they're making good moves, and it's praise Scott Fitter. Good job, Scott. But don't get me wrong, Scott did have a say in those, but you got to give blame where it's due. Like, at the end of the day, Scott Fitter's the general manager, Matt Rule's the head coach. They both signed off on those signings a year ago. They're both signing off on these signings now. I think they learned a lot last year from free agency, and they know what they didn't really know what they were going to get out of Cam Irving or Pat Elflein. They were guys that had potential that hadn't worked out to that point in their career, but there was still some potential there. They knew they had to go after guys that had experience, an experience of success. Austin Corbett, Bradley Bozeman, you're getting those guys. Even on the defensive side too. like Matt Ioannidis, I think is a tremendous pickup.
Yeah. I was going to say, because I was running through. I'm going to run through because there's a laundry list of guys they picked up. You just mentioned 3 of them right there. The defensive tackle, Matt Ioannidis. Is that how you pronounce his name? Ioannidis. He agreed to a 1-year deal with the Panthers. Had a pretty good year. He's a disruptor. It's probably the best way to describe him. They'll be able to pair him with Derek Brown in the interior. Some of the bigger ones, I thought, DJ Moore quietly signs his extension Friday. 3-year extension adding on to the current 5th-year option for the 2022 campaign. New money, $61 million, averages out to about $20 million per season. He'll keep with the Panthers through 2025. Johnny Hecker, the punter that they signed from the Rams, 3-year deal worth $7.6 million. One of the top punters in the league, actually. Don't sleep on that. I mean, he's got a leg. And then, of course, the Bozeman signing. He signs a 1-year deal with the Panthers, too. One that I thought would have been cool, but they didn't get it done. There was rumor that Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, was going to sign here, and they were going to pair him with Xavier Woods, who they signed last week from Minnesota, which would allow Jeremy Chin to drop back into the box where he was for most of his rookie year. That did not work out, but that's okay, because I'm sitting here looking. Skylar just put out on Twitter about an hour ago the Panthers defense as of today, and you're looking at, your Tur Gross-Matos at one end, Brian Burns on the other, Derek Brown, Ioannidis in the middle. You got Shaq Thompson, Damian Wilson, who they signed from, was it Jacksonville, to play middle linebacker. Frankie Louvu, who's all over. Xavier Woods at safety with Jeremy Chin at free safety. They re-signed Dante Jackson an hour ago to a 3-year extension. I didn't mention that here an hour or two. J.C. Horn will be at the other cornerback spot, who was showing the makings of a shutdown corner last year. This defense looks ridiculous. Like, when I'm sitting there looking at it on paper, I'm like, okay, we can do some stuff with this. This is, and then that cornerback room is deep, even without Gilmore and Bouye, who they cut to make some room. What are your thoughts, Larry? Like, after I just read off that.
I love it. And listen what you just said. Listen to what you just said, Desmond. Dante Jackson. You mentioned DJ Moore. You mentioned Donnie Heckler. They all happened after the decision was Deshaun Watson is not coming here. They are a much better team without him. And I know we're going to get into a little later in the show about Plan B, but one thing I want to make sure that everybody knows, and that one thing we didn't hit on, Skylar, and I think you will agree with this, is that he now has coordinators who, believe me, had a say in these guys they picked up that had experience in the NFL and knows how to get quality players. So we can talk about the difference in Tepper and give him all the credit you want. And of course, he's going to get the credit. He's the GM. But at the end of the day, when you bring in experienced coaching staff, which we did not have last year, they're going to go ahead and have experience to get experienced players. And I'll tell you right now, and I'm not just saying this because all of us are in Carolina, this defense is more solid than it was last year.
Yeah, and they were top 3 defense in terms of total yards allowed last year. Of course, us in the know, we were kind of looking at like, we're not sure if that really tells the story, but you had a good base to start off with. And a lot of that defense was on rookie deals. So, I mean, they invested in defense early. The first draft Matt Rule ever had was all defense. It's starting to pay off. I love the fact that they're keeping some of their guys. I think that was the thing that really bothered people about the Watson deal, was that they were going to have to give up cornerstones on defense, like a Jeremy Chin. It was, remember, Brian Burns was in that deal. And they didn't feel good about it. People didn't feel good about doing that just to bring in Watson. I'm gonna jump to Plan B now, because we're gonna flip this around and do the entire free agency stuff here at the end of the show, and we're just gonna go all the way to the end with about 15-16 minutes left here in the broadcast. So commercial free rundown for the rest of the hour here. What is the Plan B for the Panthers? Skylar, I'm hoping you've been hearing some things, or maybe rumblings of some stuff. Please don't tell me Gardner Minshew. Like, there's got to be something else that they're planning out there. Is Baker Mayfield an option? Because I saw it out there where the Panthers said they're not going to kick the tires on him. But if we learned nothing but one thing this week, we can't take that seriously on Twitter, because beginning of the week, the Browns were out of this, and now they've got a $250 million quarterback sitting in their room or whatever. Is Baker Mayfield still an option, or what are the plans at quarterback?
As of right now, Baker Mayfield is not in the fold. I've been told by actually 2 people now that they do not expect to go after him. Now, again, that could change. That's always, this is kind of a fluid situation. But
believe in Panthers Tuesday. By the time we get to Tuesday, he might already be wearing that electric blue. We don't know.
But as of right now, no. Baker Mayfield is not in the plans for Carolina. And I honestly don't know if they're going to go get any other veteran quarterback unless it's a Cam Newton. And you bringing him in for another year. You draft maybe Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, one of those guys at number 6. But also, guys, I don't even know that they're sold on any of these quarterbacks in the draft.
Right.
So what they may do is roll with Darnold, as I know, cringeworthy as it may sound, roll with Darnold, get through that 5th-year option, see if he actually performs better with – this will undoubtedly be the best offensive line he has ever had in his career.
Yeah, no, college, pro, high school, yeah. Easily.
I'm not saying he's going to take this team to playoffs, but this will be the best chance for him to succeed. You roll out that 50 – you go through that 5th-year option, and if you don't see any progress, guess what? You have the 2023 draft, which is expected to be much better at quarterback than this year's class. But they still could, if they fall in love with Malik Willis, which is a very good possibility, they could take him at number 6. But I think what they've done in free agency has really allowed them to either do one of two things: take the best player available at number 6 or trade back and accrue more picks.
Yeah. Larry, your thoughts?
I'm not a big fan of the quarterback draft this year. I've said that many times. Kenny Pickett has a lot of problems, I think, in the pocket. When he gets harassed, he doesn't really know what to do. Malik has thrown a number of interceptions, although I think he is the best quarterback, probably arm strength in the draft. But I look at 2 quarterbacks, and Skylar, I'd love to get your opinion on this because I know you follow it, and we talked about this before, that when you look at their college careers, they were much better than the 2 guys that we're talking about, Malik Willis and Sam Darnold. Kenny Pickett. There's 2 guys out there that you can get. And you got to ask yourself, if they are better than these 2 guys in the draft, I would go after them. Number 1 being Jameis Winston, who I believe will go back to New Orleans because of now the situation of them not getting Deshaun Watson. And they did retain a lot of their coaches in New Orleans, even though Sean Payton left. That would be one. But another one that doesn't grab a lot of names because he got injured, he hurt his leg, but he was much better in college than all of these guys, is Marcus Mariota. I mean, he doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. He had a heck of a good career in Oregon. I mean, this is a guy that could possibly need – he wasn't there for Mike Vrabel's team in Tennessee. He broke his leg. He didn't have Downey really for a long time as the offensive coordinator. Could this be a guy that comes over? And Skylar, I'd love to get your opinion on this and resurgence his career with someone like McAdoo as his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely could. I mean, you look at kind of like Ryan Tannehill, and it's ironic because they both played at Tennessee, but he didn't do anything good enough to sustain his future in Miami. He goes to Tennessee. He gets set up with a good defense. It's a really good offensive line, good running backs, fairly good receivers. You just had a good team around him, and now he's a much better quarterback. Still not a guy that's going to win you games, but he's going to be able to do stuff to keep you from losing them. And Marcus Mariota could do that with his ability to extend plays with his feet. And the one guy, I know we haven't talked about it yet, that I think is really going to help this offense and could help a guy like Marcus Mariota if he does come to Carolina is D'Onta Foreman. This dude is basically a Walmart brand version of Derrick Henry, and a very good one at that. I think he could have been a starter anywhere in the league that doesn't already have a starter at running back. So I
like that signing because I thought it tipped the hand of the Panthers in terms of their thoughts of what to do with McCaffrey too. I know they've talked about, well, they don't want to say they're going to put him in the slot more and that kind of stuff, but I think it's fairly obvious to everybody that if you have McCaffrey on the field, then he can be used basically in the same manner. You just don't need to line him up in the backfield 25 times a game. I would have him out there 25 plus times a game for sure, but line him in the slot, put him at a flanker position, have him motion into running back. Like he doesn't have to start off there, and you don't necessarily have to use him like that. I can see sets with him and Foreman out there. They still have Chuba Hubbard. Like they've got the ability to lessen the load run game wise on McCaffrey If they put him in the slot, he'd be the best slot wide receiver in the NFL today.
Well, let's not forget Foreman had what? When Henry went down, he was the main guy there. Tennessee picked him up. I think he had, don't quote me, but in half a season, over 500 yards rushing.
Yeah.
And I mean, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. And it's definitely damage after he catches the ball. So I think it was a great pickup, and it gives them the flexibility now, guys, as much as people in Carolina don't want to hear this, to take the unhealthy McCaffrey and possibly put him in a deal for a veteran quarterback.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that.
Right.
I think I know where we're going until the very end there. Like, I don't want to do that. That's no. He's just now getting the new money that he signed for. Like, I think starting this year, like it finally kicks in, and it's still a bargain if he's healthy.
It's for 4 games, guys. I mean, that's somebody that doesn't help you. I'm sorry. I love McCaffrey. He's my favorite player on the team, but he doesn't do any good if he's always on the bench. So if you can get something for him, and it doesn't have to be a quarterback, guys, maybe another offensive lineman, a strong, powerful offensive line. Just something.
I gotta have one more year. Like, I gotta see if he's truly injury prone. Because
the
last thing I want is to see this dude. The last thing I want is to see Christian McCaffrey in a Kansas City Chiefs uniform on a stage winning a Super Bowl or whatever, because that's what's going to happen. He'll end up there. He'll rush for 1,000 yards. He'll never get hurt again. He'll win 2 rings, and he'll be severely underpaid. And we'll just be like,
you know what, Desmond? You got to get something for him while you have a chance. What happens if he comes? And then let's talk the other side. What happens if he comes back, he gets hurt again? Now teams are going to go, no, we don't want this guy. 3-4 years in a row, he plays 3-4 games. What good is the guy giving? Get something while you can for the guy.
Well, to his defense, they've all been like soft tissue type injuries. They haven't been like tears or bone breaks or anything like that. A lot of it, I think, is just the way he works out, especially last year with the hamstring. I think he just overworked out. And he's kind of talked about this too, and that this offseason, he had a different mindset and plan for what he was going to do to get ready. And hopefully that helps, because when we first started doing the Believe in Panther podcast together at the beginning of the year, Skylar, I don't know if you remember this or not, but I was comparing Sam Darnold to Troy Aikman, like young Troy Aikman. Now let me explain myself, Larry. Let me explain myself, because I had that same reaction from people when I said it. A young Troy Aikman, because if you really think about it, this was when they were out here throwing 400-yard games or whatever. That's not what they needed him to do. They didn't build the offense around Troy Aikman in Dallas. Actually, they built it around the run game. Troy just had to be kind of a game manager. Really, he'd give you 225, 250 on a Sunday, probably 2 touchdowns, probably would throw for about 65%, probably no interceptions, and he would hand that rock off to Emmett about 25 times a game. That was all he had to do, and sit behind that line. I thought Sam, in the beginning of the year when they went 3-0, that he was showing signs of that. He was being very accurate. He had McCaffrey with him, so he had somebody to hand the ball off to. He had a check down partner. He was mixing it up with Moore and Anderson, everybody. He wasn't going to give you 350 and 3 touchdowns. Like, he wasn't going to give you Mahomes numbers. But you didn't need that with the way the defense was playing at the time when everyone was still relatively healthy. You just needed a guy that could move the chains, make the right decisions, and not turn the ball over. And that's what he was doing in the beginning. And that's where I was like, he kind of reminds me of a young Troy Aikman. And that came from Troy after that Texans game, actually. I think it was week 3 when we went to Houston on that short week when McCaffrey got hurt again on that Thursday night game. Aikman was doing the call of that game. And he was mentioning something about how he went and looked at Darnold during practice, and he had some attributes that reminded him of himself, like when he was younger. And that was the first time the thought entered my head, because I was a Cowboys fan. I'm like, you know what? He does kind of feel like Troy Aikman a little bit, but other things he doesn't, like being vocal, leadership, everybody wanting to follow you, that kind of stuff. You kind of need that.
Let me ask both you guys a question, if I may, and I'd love to get both your opinions on this. Pick number 6. You keep it. You got the guy. If you have a choice, now hear me out, going for Aquanu of NC State or Evan Neal, whichever one might be available at that time, Evan Neal from Alabama, would you go ahead and take one of those two, knowing that your quarterback is going to be Sam Darnold next year, or would you not? Now, remember what it does to your offensive line. I don't have to tell you that.
You want to go first, Skyler? Or?
Yeah, I would take one of the 2 offensive linemen.
I agree.
I think when you have a chance to draft a game or a franchise-changing player, and that's what both those guys are going to be. Akil Quan and Evan Neal are going to be franchise players. You draft them. And I get the appeal of wanting to trade back and getting more picks, but Scott Fitterer has been very, very consistent about his thought process on this. When you draft a top 14 to top 18 player, you pretty much know what you're going to get. From 18 to 40, there's a huge drop-off. So is it really worth getting or trading back and having two players that are not maybe the makeup of the one player? I think if you were to draft Evan Neal or Ike Ekwonu or even Charles Cross, I think you can maybe even throw his name in there too.
Mm-hmm.
If you put any one of those three guys at left tackle and you kick Brady Christensen inside the left guard, and then you have Bozeman at center, Corbett at right guard, Taylor Moton at right tackle, you have a vision. You have a plan for success. Whether that's Sam Darnold, whether it's Malik Willis, Cam Newton, it doesn't matter. Bryce Young next year. I mean, you have to have a foundation up front to even have a chance to have a future. And I think it starts with the offensive line. I've seen people say Ahmad Gardner. No. It's going to be an offensive lineman.
They don't need him. They don't need him now, right? I mean, they just re-signed Dante. Like, why would we? I don't know. But
I'll go back to Larry's question from earlier. I talked a little bit about Mariota. I think they'll bring in They could bring in Mariota if they feel like they need to push Darnold to get better and to start.
I could see that.
Jameis Winston, if they were to go after Jameis, it's to start. It's not to push him.
Yeah, and I'd be fine with Jameis. I think he would thrive in Ben McAdoo's system. Actually, it's more
really good.
Yeah, and he was playing well. He was 5-2 before he got hurt. To answer your question,
he didn't have a lot of turnovers last year either.
He didn't have a lot of turnovers. He got LASIK surgery. Remember, he got the so
no more 30.
No more 30 for 30. Real quick before we get out of here, let me answer your question, Larry. If before yesterday, I would have said trade down because my main concern was filling in roster holes, but Fitterer has done an excellent job fixing the line because that was the main thing. I wanted to trade down. You get a late first, something in the second, use that because it's supposed to be a heavy draft for tackles or whatever, right? Or offensive linemen. You don't necessarily need the guy at 6. If you're just if you're looking for a guard, I wouldn't draft a guard at 6. A left tackle, sure. But Evan Neal's the only one that I wanted to stay at 6'4" because he's just a mountain of a man. Like if the Evan Neal slides to 6, I think you almost have to take him.
There's no doubt.
Like, I don't see how he's going to slide. I keep seeing the kid from Oregon, Thibodeau, that was like the projected number 1 at the start of the year. He's going to be sitting there when we pick at 6. And you know how the Panthers roll. If he's sitting there at 6, I could easily see them drafting him and pairing him with Brian Burns instead of Yator, which is a slightly more frightening defensive end lineup there.
And kind of go to with what you just said with them filling holes before the draft. This is exactly what Fitterer did last year in free agency. Now, obviously, they didn't hit everything, but they got Hassan Reddick. They took away the need for a pass rusher. They got guys like I can't remember if AJ Boye was before the draft or after, but they did a lot of stuff before the draft. So where that first round pick, they didn't have to take a guy for need. They were able to take the best player available. Even though we know Sam Darnold's not the answer now, they made the trade for Sam Darnold before the draft. There were still discussions if they were going to take Justin Fields or whatever, but it allowed them to pass on a quarterback, take J.C. Horn at the time, and that's what they're doing now. They're fixing the offensive line. That way, in case one of those 3 offensive tackles is not there at 6, they still feel pretty good at Brady Christensen at left tackle, and they can take the best player available or trade down like Larry said. So I think they position themselves extremely well heading into next month's draft. I think they can pretty much do whatever they want, and they'll feel pretty good about it.
I feel the same, and keep an eye on, and we'll get more into this in Believe in Panthers podcast on Tuesday when we do that. Keep an eye on what they do. If they do trade down, I would think it's because they have targeted something they think they can get in the second. And to me, I think that might be North Carolina quarterback Sam Howell. Like if he slides I mean, it could be there's someone they're thinking, well, we don't have to pick him at 6, but if we trade down, we can get him at 25 or something like that and pick up a second, which they don't have. I'm kind of looking at a repeat of what Fitterer did last draft, where he was just constantly trading down and picking up collateral so that he had a whole lot of picks in the middle of the draft that he was able to use to kind of fill in depth, because they do still need some depth on the offensive line. They're going to need backups. They're going to need depth on the defensive side of the ball. But I hope they don't go in looking for a quarterback at 6, and they decide to pick a guy just because he's there, because that rarely works out. We didn't even get a chance to talk, because we're here at the end of it. We didn't even get a chance to talk about how Cam Newton might be involved in this, because they've kept constant contact with Cam the whole time, and we don't even know what's going to happen with that situation. So it's all still very fluid. Unfortunately, we're out of time. 2 hours flew by super fast today. Got to give a shout out to Jalen Gilkey from WFMY News 2, Brandon Blakeney, Larry Frank, Skylar Callahan, Isaac Schade from the Locked on Heels podcast. Go to the refrigerator, get you something cold to drink, come back to your living room, sit down, and check out Carolina versus Baylor, 12:10 tip-off here. So in about 10 minutes on CBS, the NCAA men's basketball tournament continues. We'll be back next week. You've been listening to The Rundown, WWBG 1470 AM and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com.